Welcome to the Business and Bullshit podcast. I'm your host, Steve Murray, with my co-host, Don Brown. And today we have a special guest who has been a mentor to the one and only Don Brown and is former heroin addict turned multimillionaire, Charley T. I love that intro.
Well, just to give everybody some background, Charley T hired me for a job I was not qualified for.
I wasn't qualified either.
He asking me, like, do you know about Facebook ads? Do you know about Facebook ads? At the time, Facebook ads are like new.
Yeah.
There was no Pixel.
2015, right?
Oh, yeah.
The first question I have for you is, what makes Charley T right and all his doubters wrong?
Oh, that's a good question. I will say this. What I try to do more than anything is understand how to make the business better. I think there is one scorecard, and that is the bank account of who's ever writing the check.
Yeah.
At an ad agency, your job is to make the person who writes the check look good to their boss.
Absolutely.
That's it. An ad agency is a bank. Keep the gears rolling. Number one issue that I had, we were spending $1 million a day to promote some stuff, right? So I'm dropping 7 figures on Facebook on a daily basis.
With no tracking at this time.
No tracking.
Holy.
Yeah.
The Facebook pixel doesn't exist. Conversion campaigns aren't a thing.
Yes, exactly.
We're running
The dark age.
page likes. The way you would do that is you would go to Facebook and they have what they call a reach and frequency campaign. They basically were like, we can reach 75% of Americans 2.5 times for $1 million today. Awesome. Book it. That takes about 45 minutes. I figured out a way to reach 85% of Americans 3 times and do it for 800,000. So I could wildly outperform the projection in the contract
Yes.
and save the client 20%.
Yeah.
Here's why that is a horrible thing. And I'm giving all of this as a backdrop to understand what's going on here. Our employer made 20% commission on every dollar spent.
Oh.
Also, I was getting paid about $75,000 a year.
Yeah.
I cost 4 times my annual salary in a week in lost commissions. Also, the guy at the client who went to his boss and asked for $1 million now looks criminally negligent because he said, I need $1 million to do this. And I come back, here's 800 grand, here's $200,000 back. That dude's never gonna be able to ask for $1 million again.
Yes, that's true.
So
yes.
I crushed that dude's career. I cost my employer 4 times my annual salary in a 7-week period.
He was pissed, by the way.
And nobody cared that I did a good job. That is the mindset and the business environment that most ad agencies operate in.
Yeah.
And and I'm not just talking smack about agencies. I think there are a lot of really good agencies.
Yeah.
I don't think they're all bad. This agency also got those contracts because of proven work and a lot of other stuff.
Right.
Okay. What I valued more than anything was being able to do the best job.
Yes.
I wanted to solve the puzzle in the best way. I wanted to speed run Mario. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
So I challenged myself not to do the job, but to be the best person at the job. And I also wrote up case studies and shared them around the company, which got me in a ton of trouble because I was basically broadcasting to every middle manager at this company that I was costing them like 40 grand a day. And I was bragging about an annual salary for a person as like a daily loss is the thing I was bragging. So that's bad. So the point is, what I'm trying to do, the way I'm trying to solve any problem is understand what is the definition of success. And then how do we leverage the machine and the way it was designed to be used by the coding engineers, who I know a lot personally, and I've worked with for over a decade now because I also demoed and was part of the alpha on so many different things like lead gen and DPA and catalog, all these different products. I was part of the development of how those things work.
Yes.
I'm trying to use the machine to deliver the best business objective in a way that ultimately puts us in the best business relationship with the platform for future business as well.
Yes.
So that is why the vast majority of what I do is dramatically different than what most people do. Because most people are coming from this myopic definition of success of, I want to get a good ROAS. And here's my thing. That doesn't mean shit. Margins don't pay bills. Dollars and cents do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Here's a fun little math number for you. 100% profit on $100 is $100.
Yeah.
1% profit on $1 million is $10,000.
Right.
The margins don't actually matter. It's the volume of money that you make.
Yeah.
The bottom line.
The bottom line, or the top line, or the amount of new customers you're getting, or like how does your business model work? Are you trying to get more awareness in your market? Are you trying to get market share? Are you trying to buy as many customer journeys as possible? Are you trying to make your money work as hard as you can? And the bottom line is, if your Facebook ads are getting a better and better ROAS, what that's telling me is either you are not spending nearly enough, or your marketing, your other more efficient marketing channels are getting stolen from in a way that is robbing you blind. I'd rather break even on Facebook and reach 5 times as many people so that I can get 3 times as many sales on search and twice as many sales on organic and get my email revenue to go up too. Because those sales are far more profitable.
Yeah. It's perfect sense.
Cool.
So I'm tracking.
Yeah, so what I do differently than most people is I look at ads as a department of my business to accomplish business objectives.
Yeah.
And I understand that the vanity metric of the reporting of the platform is only good if you don't understand how the rest of the business works.
Yes.
And there's a period of time where everybody kind of goes through phases of like, I'm trying to keep my job. I know how to get a good vanity metric. I'm starting to understand other things, and eventually I can be good at business. But I would much rather make 1% on $1 million than 100% profit on 100 every day of the week.
Absolutely.
And that's really where it all comes down to is that journey. And that's helped me be a part of half a dozen exits at like 8 figures and build a couple companies, be a part of building companies to like a 9-figure run rate in the last like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And learning all of those mistakes of like how to get from 50K a month to like $1 million a week. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
I've probably made a couple $100 million more mistakes than most people have taken attempts. And that's the number one
Talk your shit,
key.
Charlie. Talk your shit.
Like, I stopped counting the amount of money I spent on Facebook when it was $500-600 million, and that was 2018.
Yeah.
I made $17 million of mistakes for Activision.
I remember that account.
Call of Duty, still the number 1 game.
Yeah.
That one's mine.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
I remember that account, man. And I think it's important for you to say that because we actually had a conversation on the previous episode about, the education or online education community when it comes to business and how much, this show is called Business is Bullshit, but ironically, how much bullshit people are able to get away with when they position themselves as experts.
I think that's most of the business.
Yeah, well, because they're talking to people who don't know what an expert looks like.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What I've learned is to be able to communicate the concept that you just explained too. But also, it's because I don't just push buttons. And I think because it's simple for any person to go on to Fiverr or Upwork and find someone who pushes buttons, then they say, well, I could find someone who can do this for me. But really, when you have a background in marketing, like, you have a master's in marketing, I have a master's in marketing, you study marketing. When you study marketing, you look at the big picture of how does this component of advertising and marketing impact the business. So I feel like most businesses fall short when they start to think that these are solo channels that need to be measured individually versus does this channel lift my other channels? Because you are always omnipresent. Yeah. And there's no person today that wakes up and says, hey, I just discovered this new brand. I'm only going to look at this one channel. I'm not going to look anywhere else.
Yeah, and I would even go further than that. If you're inventing a sneaker company, you didn't invent the concept of like a foot. People that make this idea that like the customer journey, our customer journey is 7 days long. I'm like, no, it's 30 years.
Yeah, facts.
So I got a question about this because we'll talk about like 322 and stuff in a second. But I mean, for those that don't know, I want you to give we might as well just get straight into it. I mean, like,
I want to go backwards. Go.
Okay. Well, I ask something.
Bury the lead.
Yeah. I'll add something different because we talk about multiple marketing channels.
Sure.
Obviously, you're an expert in Meta.
Yeah.
But we know that there's these other channels and other marketing activities that impact that. What is your organic social following?
Sure.
What is your search? What is your email? So my question for you is, when like a lot of what you talk about is lifetime value, right? And saying, okay, like if I have to spend $50 to get a customer, and that customer is worth $200 in lifetime value, right? It's still profitable, especially when you talk about profitable scale of margin and long-term business approach, right? Now, I have had quite the time trying to explain that shit to a paying client, right? Even those who understand, okay, what a lifetime value is, they get it conceptually. But what the feedback that I've heard from a lot of business owners is, I can't worry that much about lifetime value. I can't
afford it.
Right, I need to make this money back, if not now, in the next month or two, or et cetera. So what is your advice to business owners who say, I get it with lifetime value, but I need this fucking money to be returned on this ad spend in the short term?
3 points to that. Number one, the purpose of Facebook ads is not to be your source of revenue, right? Like, you went on a particular show where a lot of people are asking for cash. If somebody says, all I need is your money for this business to work, the number one, you're never going to get talked to.
Right.
That's the same thing as ads. If you need ads for your business to work, the reason you can't afford to work on lifetime value is your business sucks.
Facts.
You should be spending a percentage of your revenue that you make in your business, the profit you make in your business, that should be the source of your ad spend. The problem that you're facing is the premise of the question talks about the issue that the person has. They're saying, I need my ads to get a positive return for my business to work so I can get paid. What I say to that is, your business sucks. If you can't get sales, if you can't get revenue, whatever it is, now maybe you hire salespeople, whatever it is, but like, if you can't get money to come in, then you don't have a realistic expectation or an ability to optimize for what you spend your money on promoting. Because Facebook ads, like people talk about getting funding all the time, like it's an accomplishment. It's a liability. But like, where are you gonna put that money? Oh, well, I'm going to put that money in this thing because I know how to get return. Okay, now it's a viable investment.
Right.
But if you don't know where to spend your money, if you don't know what the ad should go to, and you don't know that because you're not getting money, then you don't have money for ads. So the first part of that question is, if you need the ads to work, it's because your business isn't good enough.
Okay, quick follow-up on that.
Okay.
Because I friend and a fan of yours. So
Sure.
I know that follow-up answer too, right?
I love it.
And I've used that one as well.
Okay.
But I think the struggle for, and we have like a community of business owners that watch this, right? I think the struggle for a lot of brands and business owners in 2025 is the other channels that that we all used to rely on that were not paid, right? Organic, social, all of these things. Now the power of those has been dwindled a lot in the last few years, right? So when you say, okay, maybe I've run into a lot of clients who are like, I don't need Facebook ads, but it's the most predictable, scalable way for me to market now because making content isn't moving the needle. I mean, for most brands.
Or they don't know how to do it.
It's true, could be one of the two. But I'm saying like, it was way easier to build a business on your content in 2017, 2018. So in my question, the follow-up is
single photo back then.
Right. As long as you were halfway decent, you got to get
Let's be fair. It's easy to start a business in a bull market.
But what do you say to like if they say to business owners who maybe are relying too much on Facebook ads? What will be the alternative that you would recommend to say, okay, is your business good enough?
So like I just did this course video on a thing of like how to crush ads on a small budget. And really like, so I went to business school. When I went to business school, what I was taught was you build a good product, you find an audience to sell it to, you charge a reasonable price and give good customer service, you're going to be all right. Okay, sure. Out of the back of your car, maybe you get your bills paid. But if you want to make like money, right? Like, fuck you money. Okay? Like, I can do what I want, when I want, where I want, travel my dreams, not have to worry about shit, and my family's going to be okay kind of money. You have to prioritize the development of an audience that you can sell to. If you don't have an audience, then your ads have to do all of the work. And there's this big thing of what I call like a COVID era marketer. And basically, I love Charley and what he's done with Shopify. I think TikTok and all this stuff is great. But the problem is, it was so easy to get attention, start a Shopify, get some sales, that so many people who have no business fundamentals got some cash.
Yes.
And so, one of the problems here is that Facebook ads don't scale your business. Your business scales your Facebook ad account. People are trying to put the cart before the horse before realizing that, like, if you don't know how to develop an audience who's willing to buy from you more than once, even if your name is on the product and you get it sent to you and you set up the site and do all sorts of stuff, you are an incredibly labor-intensive operation to be a salesman for a factory in China. You don't have a business. You are a salesman.
Yeah.
Well, let me give you two examples here. So one, there's this brand, Dad Gang.
Yes.
All right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with Dad Gang. Okay.
They have the hats.
They have the hats. Right.
Yes.
I got a couple of them.
I want some, by the way, and I'm not even a dad. I think they're cool.
They are cool. So
Yeah.
what Dad Gang did, Dad Gang built an Instagram account. And for the record, after all of this stuff, I'll give you like a quick 5-step process to solve this problem, so that, like, because you're gonna sit there and be like, well, how do I build a community around myself?
Right.
That was where I was going.
Let me explain
Charley
two use
ain't new to
cases,
this. He's
and
true to
then,
this.
and you
See?
just fucking hit it with the action steps. All right. So Dad Gang built an audience by identifying that product had a very core thing, like you're a dad. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I wore my Dad Gang hat in the delivery room. Right? But what they did is they just attached their product to that sentiment. Now, I'm not saying that's the path for everyone. I'm just giving a use case.
Yeah.
So they attach that product to a sentiment. And if you look on their Instagram account, it's like pregnancy announcements. It's newborns. When I go on there, I'm just like, oh, I remember. Oh, like, like it is.
Yeah.
You get that
That
vibe,
emotional, yeah,
right?
that
like
emotional
if you just
connection.
found out your girl's pregnant, like
Yeah.
that's hitting you.
Finally,
in like,
I'm Dad Gang.
like that is like in some subconscious, like
a powerful feeling.
yeah,
It
like
is.
that's hitting you at a spot that you cannot verbalize to others,
Yeah.
right? That's in that like nether region in the back of your subconscious, right?
Yeah.
So their entire content strategy is product drops and then featuring all of their customers. So they inherently, by that nature, have developed a communication with an audience and a community around that. Now, that might not work for you. So let me give you an example of my buddy Dakota. He has this brand called Dog Sauce.
Okay.
All right. Now, Dog Sauce, he had the idea for the product. And Dakota did an exit on like a bong cleaning brand and got some good money.
Nice.
And he had a couple years to like figure
You
something
get
out.
rich off a bond clean. You just
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
like good for
I
you,
know.
bro.
I'm over here selling air fresh.
Yeah, he was like
Make some money off of air freshener. You're gonna make money off of everything. Bond cleaning, air
Yeah,
freshener.
anything.
Fuck.
Early 20s, figured out a bomb cleaning solution, hustled, got a check. Nice one. Bought a place in Colorado or whatever, chilled for a bit.
Yeah.
So he's like, all right, I want to do this company called Dog Sauce. He had the idea. So what he did was he built an Instagram account and exclusively just posted memes about dogs.
Yep.
Got an audience of, I think it's now 150,000 people.
Yep.
If you love that page, odds are you're a dog owner.
Yes. Yeah.
Then, oh, by the way, he comes out with
A brand
dog
change
sauce.
the dog.
Yeah.
which is basically it's gravy you can put on dog food that's got like probiotics and stuff in it, so that your dog, you can get the cheap food but make it nice, right?
Yes.
3 months after launch, it gets nationwide distribution in Walmart. He solved, like Simon Sinek has this concept of start with the why.
Yeah, I love that
Golden
book,
circle,
by the way.
okay?
Yeah.
So he started with the why, built an audience large enough. He built a lever long enough to move the moon. Then he dropped whatever he was going to do, right? And like, for what it's worth, I remember back in the day on Twitter, there was this Eric Cartman meme account that just dropped Eric Cartman stuff. When he got to 1 million followers, turned it into a SoundCloud rapper account.
Makes perfect sense.
100,000 plays day one.
By the way, this play is in 7 marketing plays.
Nice play.
I have 3 meme pages that I developed just to test the concept years and years ago. I did this a very long time ago. The only thing that I did not do was build one for marketing.
So
how terrible is that?
So,
I mean, it's the concept is strong though. Sidebar: when we worked at that company, I had access to the Activision Twitter account. And at the time, I was dropping mixtapes and shit, right?
Yeah.
So I was very, very close because I knew I was about to probably get fired. You can ask my old roommates at the time; they'll all tell you. I was on my computer. I was like, "Bro, it had like 7 million followers or something like that on Twitter." I'm like, "I got direct access to Activision's account. I should tweet out my mixtape and lose my job, and I'll be famous." So I asked my roommates, like, "Yo, bro, y'all think I should do this shit? Like, you think this shit is gonna work?" Like, they like, "Bro, you gonna get fired." 2 of them said, "Bro, you gonna get fired anyway," and one of them was like, "Nah, don't do it because that company will probably sue you."
Yeah,
they was like, "Bro, they gonna sue you and make sure you never work again." But I always think about what would have happened.
The liability who would have been probably on the company.
On the company,
yeah,
for sure.
I'm not here on my own.
Right.
You
know what? I should have done that shit. I should have done that.
You know, I wouldn't have had that shit in my contracts. Listen, anything that goes out on these ads, this is not have nothing to do with me or my company.
Yeah.
Cash Money probably would have picked you up. I don't know about Aftermath. Like,
I know. It was a boomer bust, but whatever.
So here's the thing. Here's how you do this. All right? Produce a ton of content. First off, figure out a piece of content that you can easily replicate a lot of.
Yeah.
What they all did is they figured out, most people, like, you don't have to go viral. In fact, going viral is a terrible idea for your business. 9 times out of 10.
I agree.
Thank you. Why do all professionals have the same concepts?
Because we've been through this shit.
Fucking non-professionals tell you that. So I just need to go viral.
So here's the thing. Like, if you go to my Instagram account, all my content looks the exact same. It's B-roll of me, like in Manhattan or out here in LA, whatever, walking my dog, doing the dishes, whatever, right? It's my face. That's all that matters.
Yes.
And then it's like, it's text on the screen with some music, just giving it like an 8 little clip marketing advice.
Yeah.
I put engagement dollars behind every post. Only promoting to Instagram, promoting every single piece of organic content. And at that level, it's like $2 CPMs or something, right?
Yeah.
And what I'm doing is I'm looking to see, does any content get me a follower? And all I'm trying to do, if I get a follower, I'll hit the boost post and let that thing run to get me more followers.
And you're just looking at so-and-so followed you from this.
Yeah, I'm just looking at each piece. When you go onto a desktop or on your phone, you can see in the insights how many followers you got from that post.
Yeah.
I'm cost averaging down the cost per follow. Now, it's not about the amount of followers you have on your account. What you are doing is 3 things. First, you are teaching the platform who likes and doesn't like your content. You're using ad dollars instead of worrying about going viral. The machine's gonna get really, really good at knowing who wants to engage with your account, because anything that doesn't engage gets capped. But anything that gets followers gets more data.
So you're refining it.
So that data now picks up a larger and larger percentage of the data pool. Like, you have to think, the ads manager is a programming language. All right, so by running the ads that are getting you followers and getting you cheaper followers and more of them, that means over time, a disproportionate amount of the followers you have is from that kind of content. So the point is for you, 5-step process. Number 1, figure out a piece of content that you can create a ton of. It doesn't have to be good. It has to be easily replicatable and the person that cares about that content needs to be the kind of person that you want, because somebody that likes that content is likely to buy from you more than once. Okay? So your content, you are now trying to attract the attention of the ideal buyer.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got your mind shift is setting from how do I sell a product to how do I buy the right customer. All right, now you're doing that at the top of the funnel with the engagement. You're also teaching the machine who likes to see that content. And you're filling up your organic feed with people that respond to that content, meaning your earned reach is now amongst circles of networks of people that all like that content.
Yeah.
So you're now infiltrating social networks, programming the machine to go after those individuals. So you're easily repeatable content, engagement campaign where every piece of content, turn off the ad as it hits a certain threshold of impressions, cost average your cost per follow down, right? Track it like I spent $10 on this, I got 5 follows. Cool, it's a $2 cost per follow. And work on it. When I started, it was like $20 per cost per follow. Now I'm getting them for like 82 cents.
Shit.
That makes
But it
perfect
took
Doing
a
the
while.
same thing.
Doing the same thing over
Yes.
and over again, figuring out the content that gets followers, trying different ideas. But now I figured out the content format that works. And really, I went for the content I could make. And I paid money to teach the machine to find who to show it to.
Okay.
Now, those are 3 steps, right? Step number 4, when you run your conversion ads, only target the people who are engaging with your content or been to your website. You don't need to prospect amongst every stranger in the world and try to get them to fuck at hello.
Okay, that's interesting to hear from you though. Because
I know.
Yeah.
So the thing is,
Cause you like Mr. Broad Target.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is what we call broad retargeting.
Ah.
Because the thing is, I am not hitting up people because they abandoned cart. I'm not retargeting because of intent. I'm developing an audience based on my content, and then I'm only prospecting within that gated community.
Yep.
Got it.
So because of that, you're still hitting the same metrics of broad inside the algorithm.
Got it.
Like, there's a premium when you do add to cart. Like, that's a tax, right? There's a premium when you do in view content. There's a tax. Plus, also, if you add to cart on my site, I know you've been adding to cart on other people. So if I'm a sneaker company, like when I was running the ads for New Balance, right? If I hit up all the people that add to cart, they're also folks on Nike, Reebok,
Yeah.
Chuck Taylors, whatever, right? So there's a ton of brands hitting up this small premium inventory really aggressively.
Making it more competitive.
With CPMs that are 5-10 times more
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
If I hit up the people that engage with me, and I'm just hitting up that audience, my CPMs are going to be more or less equivalent to what I would see with broad. Now, it's going to be a smaller audience, but it's the same thing as instead of hitting all of the United States, it's like, I'm just going to hit this neighborhood in Cincinnati. Right? So it's
got
like audience size is the constraint. And because the audience size is small, your frequency will go up, so your CPMs go up. But that's also a thing that'll go down over time. Because if you have 1,000 people that engage with you, say you get 1,000 people a day. All right, now 1,000 people to engage at a $2 CPM on an engagement campaign, you can probably stack up 1,000 a day. That's not incredibly difficult, right? If it's $2 CPM, spend $20, you reach 10,000 people. Can 1 out of 10 of them engage? Okay. Now, if you reach 1,000 people a day with your conversion ads, on day 1, it's 100% of the audience. On day 2, it's the top 50%. On day 3, it's the top 25%. You extrapolate that out over a month, 2-3 months.
Snowball effect.
You're hitting only the top, infinitesimal percentage of people who are constantly engaging with you or going to your website. You're hitting all of the add to carts because they probably engage your social media. They've definitely been on your website.
Yeah.
You're still hitting that inventory.
You're hacking it though.
But you're tapping them for 1/3 of the CPMs.
Yeah.
And my whole point is, you can scale a business from $5 a day to a couple hundred by only going after the people who are already brand aware.
Yeah.
Brand aware means they're already problem aware. They're already solution aware.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about the education, right? What would it take to go from $100 a month to $100 a day? The definition of success is what? 5 sales? 10 sales a day on a really good day. If you have an audience that you add 1,000 people a day to, because they're engaging with your social media content, come to your website, can you make 3 sales a day?
Yeah.
What would 3 sales a day do to your business if you're struggling to make 10? And the point is, when we're talking about figuring out how to sell to an audience for cheap or how to get sales, you are doing that, you are juicing the acceleration of the learnings on your part with the engagement stuff to figure out what's getting followers. And then basically, like, how often do you follow a brand on Instagram? Like, odds are that's not the majority of your follows isn't a direct consumer company.
Right.
So if you can figure out how to get somebody to follow your business, you are figuring out how to get somebody to imply intent and interest. And if the only way you're getting them is by content that speaks to the community that you're building, you're curating all of that data set. So again, easily replicatable content at scale that only appeals to your ideal customer. Engagement campaign at a few bucks a day to build up an audience up to an X amount of impressions, so you're measuring against every yardstick. You look at the cost per follow and just boost post on that. And that way, like, you are cost averaging your cost per follow down. You then just hit that broad retargeting audience with your best ads. And step 5, when that scales to the point where, like, you can't push budget anymore, that's where you can take the best post IDs that have learned, because they've gotten dozens of sales in your own backyard. That person's a veteran. Put them out into the full, broad, real world. Mm-hmm. That person's a killer that's never seen anything outside of just crushing.
Yeah.
But they've already made all the mistakes. They already know who to go for.
Yeah.
They're a veteran in their backyard, but they can go into somebody's market and be like, I've never dealt with the people in this room before, but I've sold thousands. I know who to talk to.
That was like the perfect answer to the question, right?
I'm
because
glad I forgot the question.
no, you did. It was really just about, like, exactly what you talked about, right? Which is like people who maybe aren't ready or are too reliant on ads. How do those people go about building a community, building that audience? And that's step by step how they go about doing it.
Yeah, brick
right?
by brick, figuring out how to stand on a street corner and get people to stop.
Yeah.
Recently, maybe within the last 2-3 months, I added in an engagement campaign and put that on top of the prospecting broad, and I've been seeing more like better performance that way, like what you just were describing. So it's funny that you just said, "Oh yeah," I'm like, "Oh, great! I kind of discovered this."
I like it. Yeah, you're learning how to fish, and now you're just going out there. And that's what it's all about. Yeah.
So in looking at the dynamic of that now, you know, especially in certain industries in beauty, like Amazon is the #1 checkout. Like I did a Mintel report data pool, and Mintel had like Amazon 75% of women age whatever. I think it was like 25 to 44 or some shit like that.
Buying on Amazon.
Yes, her buying on Amazon.
But also though, that's a certain kind of buyer. Mm-hmm. A price-conscious consumer is the least brand loyal and the worst customer you can buy. If they're buying from you on Amazon, you don't own that customer, and odds of them buying from you again are exponentially lower than if they buy from you at a higher price.
Yeah. Is it because I was gonna buy a pair of Yeezys today, right? Now I Googled them, and the listing that came up with the best price was on Amazon. I halted for a second. First, I said, "Are these real?"
Yeah.
Sure.
Right? And then I did research on the store that was selling them, and I sent them to my nephew and a few other people, verified, yeah, they are real. But I felt like I should go to Yeezy. Like I should just either go to Yeezy or go to Adidas.
Sure.
Right? Now, what you just hit on was the loyalty piece, right? My loyalty is I'm not just buying the price. I'm also buying the loyalty that I want it directly from. I want to know that it's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and the other side of that though, if you get it from sneakerheads47.store.
Yes, yeah.
You're never gonna go back to that store.
Never.
Yeah.
So they sold that sneaker to you at a smaller profit margin than somebody else will to guarantee that you never buy from them again.
Yeah.
Which goes back to your point of like, your business model isn't structured.
Yeah. So that's a salesperson.
Right.
Which fundamentally brings me to like, why does D2C exist? Why does a direct consumer market exist? And it's simple. Now, when it started, Sears home catalog like 100 years ago where you could literally buy a house, right? And they would send you okay. But the main concept was we're not selling in stores, we pass the savings on to you. Okay? Now, some of us are old enough to remember those as like commercials and shit. They used to end with the blue TV screen and like the 100 number or whatever.
Yes. What a time.
Direct-to-consumer exists now because you are meeting the need of value better than the product that can be bought in the store. Now, value isn't just price. A lot of people think value is money. And sure, that's a thing. If you want the most valuable product, if you want to find the cheapest price, you're going to Amazon, you're going to Walmart, you're going to Costco, you're going to a low-price retailer where you don't even care about the brand. The brand is irrelevant, right? And the reason those brands exist is because they're dealing in volume with wholesaling and all of that fun stuff, which is a completely legitimate business model and good for them. But like one of the things that I learned when running the ads for New Balance, my project then was get the New Balance customer to be younger. So when I started, the average New Balance customer was a mall walker. All right. And so the whole idea of this campaign was like, get younger kids to dig it. All right. So we got the average, I think they wanted the average customer to be like 25 or whatever. I think we got maybe young 30s or whatever. We didn't get it all the way, but like,
close.
People were buying New Balance.
You started the shift though. You started the shift because down there, I went to Foot Locker the other day and it's like, I know I'm going to get a little old because they got those in the section where the Jordans and the Air Force Ones used to be. It's like the shoe now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm from DC. We went
y'all, DC, y'all had it, but it was like a DC thing only.
Yeah, there you go.
Now it's like the kids would rather wear the new. They
upgraded the product.
Absolutely. But here's the thing: they had a market. They owned the market.
Yeah.
But it was New Balance, or you got the knockoff Asics.
Yeah.
Right.
Facts. And
that was the market. So here's the thing:
Asics made a comeback too.
Yeah.
By the way.
So here's the thing: when they stopped being a specialist, and they went generalist.
Okay.
You appeal to more people. You're going from a specialty product where you own the market to a generalist where you have to do more on the brand work. But what that did, as soon as we did that, what that did is it disrupt the stranglehold that like Reebok and Nike and like Adidas had on a younger market. And it allowed there to be a specialist in the sneaker realm that did what they do, but it allowed somebody to do a better job of it. So immediately after New Balance goes broad, goes generalist, you got a bunch of other sneaker companies that came out of nowhere that were the D2C solution to like, you like New Balance, here's a better version. Right? You got your Hoka, you got your Allbirds, you got, what is it, the QC, OC, all of those brands pop up in 2 years. Yeah. They all started at the same time. They all came from the same place. They all served the same need. Yes. The reason that they were successful in a D2C is because they served the need and they overcame the objection with value, right? So like they sold a product that was more specialized to you than New Balance did. And ultimately it comes down to this. The reason somebody buys from a direct-to-consumer brand is because the product you buy in the store is made by somebody that doesn't care about you.
Repeat that. Hold on.
The reason you buy from a D2C brand is because the brand that you buy at the store doesn't care about you. Okay. All right. Think of every direct-to-consumer product you bought. How do you feel when you buy that product versus the product you get at Target or something, right? Here, let me tell you how that feels. Let's say it's Coca-Cola, all right? You go to the, bowling alley or something. You order a Coke. They're like, oh, sorry, we have Pepsi products. How do you feel? That difference is the difference between D2C and retail. So the point is,
it's like it's just not the shit that I want.
Yeah, right. So
I get it, but that's not what I want.
Yeah, like when you go and they say, sorry, we have Pepsi products. You're like, there's an immediate, that is a visceral
disappointment.
100%.
Yeah.
So the thing is,
you might take it, but it's not customized. It's not your tailored.
You're not excited about it.
No, it's not the tailored apps on your iPhone.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So the point is it's a Croc, not a Yeezy.
Yeah.
The thing is, products are fine.
Right.
It's basically the same shit. I mean, clearly it's not, but like to the point of this conversation.
I get what you're saying.
But like, so if you're a D2C brand, and this goes back to the community and stuff, like, if price is your unique selling proposition, you have a bad business. Because Jeff Bezos already won. You have to overcome the objection of value by making a product somebody values more than what they can get, right? Like, why am I gonna buy your product instead of like the house, or instead of Kirkland?
Yeah, facts. Would you put your product on Amazon?
Yeah, we tried. But the same thing he's talking about was kind of at play, which is that, and this happens to a lot of other brands, like putting it on Amazon stripped us of the connection that he's talking about.
Right.
It didn't allow us to sell the way that we sold or continue to sell with direct to consumer and express it. Like, of course, you got the page, the site, the photos, all that, but like you said earlier, right? The value of our brand and the story and the connection and the why.
Yeah.
It's hard to sometimes communicate that or compete
how
on
often
an
do you go
Amazon.
to
It's like,
the-
oh, cool air freshener, right? But it's like, I can't tell you, I'm not as in control of being able to tell you my
the
brand
experience.
story and why you are gonna like this air freshener more than that little treat.
And here's
Versus
the
like,
thing.
oh, is it cheaper?
Yeah, like,
No.
how
but-
often have you gone to the brand page of the product you're selling on Amazon when you're looking at price?
Right.
I'm not a big Amazon person, but very rarely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
But I
far
got,
less often than like, oh, I discovered them on Instagram.
yeah.
I followed them. Oh, you're in that funnel
Yeah.
for months before you're in the buying consideration cycle.
Yeah.
It's so here's my take on this, right? My take is utilize Amazon as a marketing platform, have specialized packaging that redirects people back to your
Sure.
direct to consumer.
Give them like a QR code or a thank
yeah.
you or something like that lets them know about your .com.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
So update your packaging to accommodate for those losses and incentive too. Given it's like for me, when businesses tell me they're on Amazon, like you have to incentivize to go back to your direct to consumer store. Otherwise, they're just in a black
Bro,
box.
I gotta tell you just real quick. I went to an Amazon Million Seller event. I was an invited like guest. And I got in a shouting match with a guy. He was shouting at me, and I was just laughing at him.
That's not very Charley-like.
Not even. He started shouting at me. I started laughing at the hilarity of the situation, and then just left. And I asked him a simple question: how much of your business is done on Amazon, and how many of your customers do you own? That right there shut down a guy that was selling $3 million on Amazon because he realized he didn't own a customer.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, Allbirds is failing. I'm like, so you got like one failure of $100 million? They got money. Like the founders succeeded.
Yeah.
And he got into a shouting match about how D2C doesn't work and all this other stuff. He got other people at the table pissed off. Like, why are you coming to an Amazon seller event talking about owning customers? Like, why don't you guys run a good business?
Right.
How much money, you're a salesperson for Jeff Bezos, right?
Right.
He's making a commission on your, so like, just getting back to that point real quick, and then we can move on with it, but like, you have to put, like, if your product is cheaper than the product somebody can get at the store, and better, you're not charging enough.
Yeah.
And if you can't charge enough, then your offer sucks. And that's fine. You could package some stuff together. You should put together a better offer. You got to make it work so that your business model is effective. And that's what I think most entrepreneurs that are used to selling one item get it wrong.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I knew an Etsy business and we got him onto Shopify. And how did we get him to $1 million a month on Shopify? Is we stopped selling just the hoop earrings that were like the #1 seller on Etsy. We paired the hoop earrings with a stamped gold plate necklace with like mom or like your birth flower or whatever with a jewelry cleaner with like a gift card for $30.
I just went through doing that literally with
So,
Ride
like,
Fresh. Like,
yeah.
all right, we gotta sell some other shit.
Yeah, with the vacuum.
With the kit, yeah.
so
it was like
here's
your
the thing.
towel to
We took a
package
$60.
it.
Exactly.
So we took a $60 pair of hoop earrings. We made it a $120 offer. We added a $30 gift card, marked it 20% off. Guaranteed shipping. Now, the LTV on that customer is $100. Immediately when they buy this one offer, LTV goes up 20%. That gift card, $30, good on any purchase over $75. If people buy a second time, which they're now far more likely to do because they're more pot committed to the brand, because they bought more things from the business, because they did some research to buy the product, the margin on that has to be at least $45. It's actually, right? So your LTV goes from 100 to 165 in 2 sales. You improve the LTV of the business by 65% and improve the repeat purchase rate of the business and make more margin on everything. Because also they might not use that gift card, in which case you sold Monopoly money for $30. Happy days, like you made more cash. And if they give it to somebody else to use, you acquire 2 customers, you got 2 birds stoned at once, that's a good thing. Right? So like that is how you take a business that can make a product and sell it and then turn an offer that can scale a brand. Yeah. And that's a very different thing. And that's the difference between a brand that you buy at retail, a retail product, and a D2C business.
Yeah, that is a very specialized group of knowledge, right?
Sure.
Like understanding first, because a business will come to you or myself or you and say, "Hey, I want to run ads." Now, diagnosis of understanding marketing. Need to improve your offer, need to repackage, need to create new products possibly for some. So when you're dealing with, and this is just open for either one of you, when you're dealing with a client that maybe doesn't have their business properly structured to be scalable,
sure.
How do you then provide that information to them in a way that, is that a part of your role, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is.
As a person that's doing Facebook ads,
are you a business strategist?
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I mean, inherently it has to be, because your job depends on being able to spend more money tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I don't actually care. It's self-preservation.
Right.
I'm just trying to make more money.
Okay.
So easiest answer to that question. I do it all the time.
What's your take?
Absolutely, and I've seen more success. Well, I had to start filtering out bad fits.
Yeah.
Actually doing, because I had to judge. Okay, what is the amount of work that I'm gonna realistically have to do? We talked about this last week. Like, what's the amount of work that I'm gonna have to do with you? What's our starting point?
Yeah.
What are your resources and what's your bandwidth and availability, like flexibility around changing certain things? Like, all of that matters, because it's like, how good are you going to be at taking this advice? Some people are like, I'm not changing my product. I'm like, I mean, okay, right? But like that education process of, okay, here are the things that are impacting your ads, right? And here are the things that we can do to change in the short term and the long term. Like, but how well positioned is this client to do this, right? And how willing is this brand to do this, right? Which is why I started looking at taking on different brands like a little more stringently. Like, okay, like we know what impacts it. It's not rocket science, but there are different things. Your offer, your landing page, your messaging strategy. But that leads me into a quick follow-up on that, and then we can move on, Charlie, is it possible for a brand to build the connection that you said, the why behind D2C, right? Is there some kind of emotional connection or attachment to the brand directly? Is it possible for brands that don't have intrinsic value, not even thinking about price, but like whatever the value is it possible through messaging, through creative, through a landing page that's written better or designed better to say, okay, there wasn't as much value to make it scalable before, but we built this pretty sexy machine now, and you didn't necessarily change the product, but like, is it possible to take a product, like let's say product is product, and tweak these things or build these things around it to create the value? Can you, the marketer, create the value if the product it hasn't changed? Like, can you?
I mean, I think the answer to that has to be yes. I mean,
interesting.
FUBU is t-shirts.
Right.
It's print, right? Like RP55, Rockaware.
Yeah.
That is a t-shirt. That is Hanes heavyweight t-shirt and a silk screen.
Right.
And it's a brand.
Right.
I got a buddy that's in town. Shout out to his brand. It's called Cherry Hill.
Okay.
He embroiders a little bit when he started talking about his story.
Yeah.
And about why Cherry Hill works. Makes more sales. He's a local dude, good, solid guy trying to make it work. He's got an embroidery machine.
Yeah.
He works his business. He embroiders the stuff at home in his house till like 5 o'clock in the morning, packages his stuff up. He is in the grind, right? But so yeah, I think the answer has to be yes. I mean, like we were talking about Nike, we were talking about Coke and Pepsi.
Yeah.
Inherently, one of those things makes you happy. The other one makes you have to be polite in public. Right?
That's funny.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and when the waiter says Pepsi, they say it with a disappointed tone in their voice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like
Some people prefer it, man.
okay, yeah, sure, some people
Very
do.
rare.
I mean, they are like, you know, the third biggest, whatever.
Ooh. Oh wait. Do you know? Okay.
I mean, Dad gave us hats.
Wait, but
Yeah.
yes, but there's. I mean, okay.
But that,
There is a way to do it for you. You could create a narrative or a story around things to make people want to buy something. But then, all right, hold on, I got you. A product, yeah, a product or service that's at a different phase of their business life. Like a brand reaches maturity,
Sure.
right? And now you have to retell that story. And we see it in music sometimes where an artist ages out, and then now how do you sell that? Right?
Sure.
How do you, we see it with products. Facebook is the most interesting in the world.
Oh
to
yeah, because
me.
now everybody hated Facebook, so they made it Meta.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, right? And then,
Or like
and then-
Madonna redefines herself on every record or whatever.
Yeah.
yes, so because it hit maturity. So you
Beyonce makes a country album.
Yeah.
Sorry.
right?
keep going.
No,
I
you're
was trying to think of examples.
Yes.
pretty good album too, but
but no,
listen
I
to it.
didn't listen to it.
for the first time, I just listened to it.
I
just
would-
listened to it. I was like,
listen to it.
pretty good.
Won a Grammy, I'll leave it.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, you want a Grammy? All right.
I don't got a Grammy. You know, like,
all want
I
them.
don't got a Grammy either.
what am I gonna say?
That's it. But then
Like, Ice Cube stopped making records.
that's true too. That is true.
He got movie money.
You got a lot of
Grammy.
Yeah,
You think about
like, fuck you.
Ice Cube went from natural
He
born
changed the
killer.
offer.
He changed that fucking offer.
He changed the offer. He was
Shit,
like,
50
wait a
Cent,
minute.
50 Cent changed his offer.
Yeah. he
Yeah,
was
Ice
like,
Cube
no.
went from natural born killer
Yeah.
to like kids movies.
Yeah.
Facts. He changed his offer.
So like the point is that can happen to anybody at any
well,
time.
it's
New
true.
Balance went from mall walkers to like it took the spot of the Air Force One.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
But see, all right, with some of these, okay, I think at scale, when you have money, you could spend money on research and development to find your pivot. But when you have a smaller brand with less intrinsic value, getting them to invest in better founder story, better product use case videos or photos, etc. Like getting them to invest in the elements that it takes to readjust where they are.
Yeah.
I just think they don't have the money to do it.
I think the bigger problem isn't the money. I think the bigger problem is nobody has any idea how to do it. Like, I think most people don't conceptually understand the structure, the architecture of that problem.
Okay, all right, there you go. Now you're talking.
So
Go ahead. Now you're talking.
Here's how I would approach that with a brand. You
Okay.
come to me saying like, hey, we sell about 7, 8 different products, got about 14 campaigns on Facebook, it's just not working anymore. Every one of them makes money, we're on caps on everything, blah, blah, blah. How do we fix it? First thing I'm gonna do, go to your receipts. Maybe take the last year or so, whatever. You're on WooCommerce, you're on Shopify, whatever. Show me every product. I want 3 things. Customer name, whether they new or returning, and what they bought. Okay. What I want you to do, and simply put, you could go in and say, tell me how many new, for every product, how many customers that bought that were a new customer. And then tell me how many times those people appear as a returning customer. Right? So you get the concept of like, so you can do that in ChatGPT, you can do that in Excel. Let me explain the concept in a more readily accessible fashion.
Yeah.
You go to a steakhouse, you order the fish and chips, and it's you're probably not going back. You get the filet and it's slamming, you're going back.
Facts.
For sure.
A customer's journey is the single greatest inflection point of a customer's future actions with your brand is the first purchase they make. So my point to this is, what product do you sell what of all the products you sell has the highest correlation to somebody coming back and buying from you again?
Yeah.
That is the easiest way for you to, one, buy future cash flow. So you can begin to have your revenue floor, the amount of money you would make if you stop running ads, just letting your existing customer journeys exist. That's going to get bigger. And then it's a question of, well, how do I get more people to buy this one thing? Right? Like, I'm a steakhouse. How do I get more people to stop ordering the fish and chips?
Because that's your real winner.
Because that's your real winner.
Yeah.
And so your entire brand should be focused around how do I sell that offer, that thing, right? And so then it's like, I mean, first off, I think talk to the customers. Understand who they are. What are they doing? Like, you might be selling a whole bunch of things, but it's dudes over the age of 35 that buy that product and they come back and buy 4 more times in that year.
Yeah.
So for instance, I took a women's shapewear brand. All right, so I'm a small partner in that. They came into my education. I became a partner in the business. They were doing $50K a month. 20 months later, we're doing $1 million a week. Or 18 months later, we were doing $1 million a week. What we did was, first off, we understood the average woman buys 2.5 times. So we made an offer that's buy 3, get 1 free. Immediate LTV boost when somebody takes that offer. Then we understood women under 35 are far more likely to buy 1 or 2 bras and come back and take the buy 3, get 1 free offer. Women over that age were far more likely, so they bought 1 bra, came back like 25 days later, 30 days later, bought another one, and then the next purchase, the buy 3, get 1 free. Okay. Women over that age took the buy 3, get 1 free. Now, it took them 90 days, 100 days, or whatever to come back, but they just came back and bought the buy 3, get 1 free. The point is, we now understood, do we need profit margin today, or we want trying to get more transactions? And the entire marketing around the business is, okay, we now understand who our best customer is. How do we make sure that we're only attracting that person's attention? So now you've got a very clear understanding. There's 100 people on the street. I got to get these 7 people to stop. What is the one thing I can say to get these 7 people specifically to stop? Because the rest of them are going to buy from me once and I'll never see them again.
Yeah.
The first transaction in a business is the least profitable. Any business that makes 8 figures has figured out a way to attract the attention of somebody who's likely to buy more than once. The brand identity is then based around how to attract the attention of that person who is interested in giving you money more than once.
Yeah.
That is how you reverse engineer the why.
Yes.
And then you just basically build the identity around that thing.
Yeah.
And you can see all sorts of brands that like came out with a whole bunch of stuff, but then they figured out that identity and they blew up. Like Nintendo was a trading card company.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many of those things. Like I think Sony was like making like washing machine, like dumb stuff like that, right? But when they figured out the like
that one,
you figured out that thing, then the entire brand identity comes around that thing, right? Like look what the Super Bowl did for the NFL. Right? Like look at what the NFL putting a game on Christmas did to the NBA.
Yeah, facts.
Right? And so it became like the point is that is, I mean, I'm giving very large examples, obviously.
But it's easier to digest that way.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to like, if you go to your receipts and just say,
what's our Super Bowl?
Yeah, the average.
No, that's what it comes down to.
Person,
what's our Super Bowl?
Like, let's just say 5% of people that buy from us ever buy a second time.
Yeah.
But this one product, 50% of them buy a second time. My question to you is, why? First off, why are you spending money on any other product? Now, there might be a legitimate reason, but that's going to be my first question. And then my second question is, how can you get more of that person? What's going to make somebody want to buy that? The brand identity then reverse engineers into being that thing.
Yeah.
And the honest truth is, I don't know a single successful business that got that and then like
went back and did
they didn't start there. Right? The overnight success takes 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like that win is stacked on so much failure, so many data points, right? Like,
yes.
And that's how you get there. So if you can be scrappy enough to get that data.
Yeah.
So the first thing we did was talked about how to get attention, right? I gave you the step-by-step process to get attention to make sales.
Yeah.
Then after you get those sales, maybe you got a print-on-demand store and all the things are coming in. Great. Maybe it's the t-shirt with Sasquatch on it, nobody ever buys again. The t-shirt with penguins on it, those people come back and buy 3 more times. Great. All of your ads are just selling penguins. That's your business. You're a salesman or you're a business owner.
Yep.
Now the entire business is around selling that thing. And that becomes the identity. And your business can evolve from your original impression. I mean, look at brand logos, look at brand positioning, look at how many different angles it takes to get to that. And like, that's how you reverse engineer that. So you take your receipts, you say, all of my products when somebody bought new. And then look at how many times somebody, where that was their first purchase, what is the propensity to somebody to buy a second time?
Yeah.
And that is your market telling you what your identity is.
Yeah.
And that's just like anybody out there that like fakes the funk until they figure out who they are, because the rest of the world be like, you might think you're this person, but everybody knows you're X, Y. Like, if you're lying to yourself, you're never going to be successful.
Yeah, it reminds me of this documentary I just watched. Morgan Freeman was in it, and he was giving his story. Eddie Murphy was in the same documentary. Eddie Murphy was like talking about, like, he was like, bro, I had one audition my whole fucking life. Like, he was like, I was on when I was 18. He was like, my first intro to the game was like Saturday Night Live, and then he's Eddie Murphy. And to the flip side, Morgan Freeman was like, bro, I was around until I was like 40 fucking years old.
Yeah, he was like in his mid-40s.
Yeah, he was like, bro, I was around, like, you know, I was on Broadway, and it's like, oh, well, what? But it reminds me of what you're saying, because it's like, no, he had to be the old man in the movie, kind of. Like, it was like, well, that was his lane. It was like, but when he found that lane, he been the old man for 50 fucking years in the movie.
He was the old man in Shawshank Redemption.
Yes.
He's 40.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
The old man is his hero product.
Exactly. It's like, but all in due time, to your point, with experience, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yo, he never would have, probably somebody would have been like, yo, when you're 45, you're going to get casted. And from then on, you're going to be the old man in the movie.
And so the thing is, like,
so you never know. So to everybody out there, keep fucking working, stay down.
Yeah.
You know.
Because here's the thing to that point. If you want this to make sense, give up now. Okay,
That's a bar.
Like, nobody I know who's successful, and believe me, I know guys running 9-figure companies. Okay, like I got some numbers in my cell phone. Okay, like none of them have a business today that was the business that they started with. None of the brands that are at 9 figures today are the brand that they started. I mean, very few. There's one or two that were just home runs, but it was like not their first road. Like, okay, HexClad, it was a market trader on Wall Street, got with Gordon Ramsay to sell cookware. That's a smash out the gate, but that's also built on two guys with 40 years lifetime experience doing
that
it.
brand equity that they got.
That's a super group, right?
Yeah.
So, like, all things considered, you know, that's not completely legit, right? So the point of that is, this is not a path to take if, like, the timeline for everybody is completely different. It is not about, I hate the hustle porn, right? It is not about working harder. It's not about being in it for longer. You gotta be taken up, there is a certain element of, like, luck.
Yeah.
And there's a certain element of shit breaking your way. And you got to be able to be in the game long enough to manufacture that opportunity. And to that point, Bill Murray is Bill Murray in everything. Okay? Like, Bill Murray shows up and it's Bill Murray in a movie. Got it. He's got some roles, but it's still Bill Murray. Morgan Freeman has played a lot of different kind of roles, but he had to go through the development of being on Broadway and all the life experience, because being Morgan Freeman wasn't going to get him the role, and probably has a lot more to do with who's the leading guy in a movie.
Yeah.
Or, like, it has probably a lot more to do with the dynamics of Hollywood casting than it does with, like, Bill Murray versus Morgan Freeman. Mm-hmm. To be fair, Bill Murray's got a few things going on for him that are not Bill Murray responsible in the situation.
Yeah.
But you have to manufacture that. You know what I'm saying? And it's, you know, it's time, it's preparation, and being able to see the opportunity to keep going for it. But, like, the adage of you give up your 9 to 5 to work 24 hours, 7 days a week. Like, I retired when I was like 36. Okay, and I bought a house, I paid for my wedding in cash, all that stuff. And I've been in business since then on myself. But I don't think I have a job. Right? Now, to be fair, what would you do if you didn't have to work every day? That's what I do every day, and that's what pays all my bills and does everything. Like, this is this is my jam. Like for me, this is video games. Like I open up Facebook and it's Grand Theft Auto, it's Madden, it's all that stuff, right? Like for me, it's just fun. The video game is making money. And to me, it's an enjoyable solving of puzzles. But like, if you go to, none of the brands you can think of were started by somebody that had a really good idea and followed it out in the way that, like, you should stop 1,000 times before you hit it.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's what you got to figure out. And to be fair, I think the unfortunate truth that I do want to say is, I hope it's hard. I hope upon you the desperation and the difficulty.
Yeah.
The most successful people I know are driven by some shit internally.
Yeah.
Like I was a heroin addict, intravenous. I was a drug addict. Like I was strung out for like a decade, and I got like 12, almost 13 years clean. But like, I got to the point where I had to figure out how to make things work so that I could, and I would make choices between food, gas, and smack, right? And like, I didn't get a lot of food or gas,
Yeah.
Like, the point is,
Wait, does heroin curb your appetite?
I mean, you throw up a lot, but like, my point to that is that drive that comes, that motivates you through all this stuff, is also the thing that'll that'll focus you in how to solve the problem in the way that it needs to be solved. And the reason that I say that is because I know a lot of people that have built the same business, and the path to their success is always different.
Yeah. There's something. I mean, I want to go to some bullshit in a second, but I want to
Okay,
close
let's do
this.
some
Yeah, and then we'll do the lightning.
I'm just trying to like give some actionable advice.
Yeah.
No,
We
didn't touch nothing yet. We didn't touch nothing.
We didn't touch it yet.
No, that's how you know, like, especially when you're around others that, like, you're really in it. Like, you light up about strategy and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's like,
I was on camera for 5 hours today already talking this stuff.
Oh, great.
I didn't have breakfast until 4:00 in the afternoon. And we were chatting, like,
I wonder if it's different for you though, because you have other people now, like in a setting like this where you have others to bounce on.
Oh, you
philosophy.
need a community.
Yeah.
I would say the number one thing that I have to tell people is the struggle is real, and it is the number one resource you can get is a community to be around.
Yeah.
If you are alone,
It's hard.
this is a long journey.
Yeah.
No matter what your struggle is,
get
a community to help you that's in that struggle with you,
Yes.
and you will be far more successful.
1000%. Because I love talking to Donnie, because him and I go back and forth on the philosophy on how to get some strategy off the ground and what's the better way. Usually we're in.
Why won't this client leave me alone and shut the fuck up?
All types of shit. But you made a point that I wanted to make sure I highlight. Essentially, in order for you to make certain decisions about what to do with your business, you need to go back and look at your transactions and see what that data is saying. So sometimes with a small business, they come in, I don't know, how do I get my customers? Let's spend some money on Facebook or Google Ads, right? All right, great. Now, I love this because you need to get data. And if you don't have any data, you have nothing to make decisions on. Because all of, what has been landing in my client meetings, when is I tell them, no, I'm not just pushing buttons. We're making data-driven decisions.
Sure.
Even from a creative. So our creative is data-driven creative, and our decisions are data-driven decisions. You know what I mean? And I think when you go into spending, if you go spend 15, 20, 30,000 on Facebook over X amount of time, I think that's okay. I think you have to pause and audit. Hey, let's figure out where's our hero.
Yeah.
Because now you have to have a source of information. Otherwise, where are you?
I mean, I'll tell you this from just a personal client experience. I'm working with this one brand. We spend that amount of money in a day.
Exactly. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
That brand is struggling to grow right now.
Okay.
They are in the wallet and leather space.
Okay.
They've gotten really good at selling their product. And the product is good enough that a lot of people buy that same product a second time.
Yep.
We are the last 4 or 5 meetings that we've had, we have a call an hour long basically every week.
Okay.
I don't think we've actually talked about the Facebook ads
Awesome.
in any of those calls.
Yeah.
What we talked about is how do we treat your hero product as the second thing that somebody buys?
Yeah.
We know people love it. So if we know that people love it and their customer journey more or less ends there,
Yeah.
how do we make that wonderful customer journey that you have, how do we tack something in front of it? And so what we're trying to do is grow. In this case, we're expanding the TAM, the total addressable market.
Okay.
We're going into travel, passport stuff, and bags and things like that. And the theory is like, if you like this $50 money clip, and maybe you like this $130 premium wallet, awesome. If I can sell you a passport wallet and a $400 bag and some other stuff, and oh, by the way, I have this great $130 wallet. The oh, by the way is a much easier close.
Yes.
So if I already know, oh, you like that wallet, you're likely to buy 2. Now that business grew off of that wallet, but it's a commodity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So brand identity is we're a quiet luxury business, and a lot of quiet luxury is about travel because you got money. Let's sell you the travel stuff, and oh, by the way, we have another accessory that you're really going to enjoy, and people love it so much that you should buy a couple.
Yep.
So now that LTV is quadrupled.
Yeah. This gave me so much more confidence. I mean, these are things that I'm very well aware of. I've done it at scale, but sometimes your thoughts are just in this box. So when you sit next to your peers and, they're repeating concepts that you didn't talk about today, but it's the same concepts that you already have been thinking in your mind. And you want to tell the client, shut the fuck up, please. And then you know what I mean?
I'll tell you this. My favorite thing to say to a client, and this is my favorite bar of every meeting, all right? Please, here's my number one piece of advice with clients like that. Do you want to be right or do you want to make money?
Yeah. I found myself recently, like I said, repelling bad fits was a part of it, but also adjusting like my communication strategies. One is outsourcing, like we talked about this 2 weeks ago, right? Like outsourcing some of those
I didn't know it was 2 weeks ago. So
because I was on the golf course. I'm on there every day. Anyway, but like outsourcing some of those communications, but also just level setting with them. Like how you just said, like, all right, this is what it is. You can make this decision. Here's my recommendation. I'm telling you, as the person you're paying to give you advice, it's like a trainer. It's like, yo, I just told you to do the 20 push-ups. You got a reason for me that why you don't want to do them, but like, okay, you can either, your goal is to get in shape. Like, I'm giving you step by step. If you don't want to listen to me and you want to still pay me, like, I guess. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm just letting them feel the empowered to fuck themselves if they choose to. Like, but also like, I'm not going to lobby or go too hard. Like, here's what it is. But the one thing I learned is here's the result of your decision. Right? So like, if you decide you don't want to run this creative, even though it is the highest performing ad that we have, simply because you're sold out of this product, it doesn't matter, right? Like, they're not buying that. They're buying other things they're buying other things from your brand. Like, oh, we're sold out of that. Like, I mean, they're buying other shit from you.
Yeah, I'm spending $5,000 a day right now pushing iPhone cases for this business, and 70% of the purchases are for the $130 wallet off of those ads.
Off those ads, right? So, and I know, and we'll get out of here.
So when all right, this is. I'm so glad that we are in this part. When you're coming with this level of business strategy, has fucking nothing to do with Facebook ads. If someone hires for fulfillment of Facebook ads, how do you adjust your prices for that?
I don't.
Wait, is this the $10,000 package?
Yeah.
All right, well, there's the
That's good. That's good. That's a good lead into my
here's
question.
the thing. All right, here's a lesson that I learned.
Okay.
There's this story about Pablo Picasso.
Okay.
In the 1940s.
Okay.
He's sitting, enjoying some espresso al fresco out on the street, right? Some guy comes up to me and he's like, holy shit, you're Pablo Picasso. He had a pencil, a thing, whatever, like, hey man, can you draw me something? Pablo's like, yeah, sure. Spends like a minute drawing, a couple lines on the page, right? And he's 4 lines from Pablo was like, oh, I get it. Like, that's the thing, right? And the guy's like, oh, thank you so much. And Pablo quotes him some like outrageous number, like, yo, that'll be like 50 grand. Some ridiculous thing. Yeah. And the guy's like, yo, that took you 45 seconds. And Bob was like, yeah, but it took me 45 years to be able to do that in 45 seconds. Mm-hmm. You're not paying me for my time. Right? Like, you're not paying me for my level of effort. Mm-hmm. You're paying me because you're renting my expertise.
Yeah.
You're accessing my knowledge base. And so when you work with me, for instance, I charge the people that are running $100 a day the same that I'm charging people that are spending $100,000. Now, my deal structure might be different. If I feel like I'm going to put in some more money and I might want a piece of the company, I might do some other things, like that's in there. But, like I do, so I have a high ticket training program and I certify people and they come through media buying and stuff. I do, and people want to work with me and they can't necessarily afford the 5 figures a month it is for me and my team. I do outsource it to my students. I do like subcontracting. That is $5,000 a month flat fee. No commissions, no nothing. And you are buying that person, you're buying that person's time knowing that they're getting my support. But the beautiful thing in there is your time isn't just the time you're spending on that client. Mm-hmm. If you're constantly cycling clients, your time is landing new business.
Yeah, tell me about that.
An ad agency, when you hire a classic agency, I'm not saying all agencies, but a classic marketing firm, the person doing the work, their paycheck there's no implication on their paycheck based on the quality of their work.
Yep.
Every client is expected to leave. Your job is to service that client until they do leave. Every time you hop on a call with them, it is a sales pitch. Please don't fire me today. And if you do lose the client, that's okay. We have a sales team that has another one for you. There's always another client that walks in the door, and it's whoever lost the client, you have bandwidth.
Yeah.
At that point, you have to understand that business is a bank. They are not a marketing firm. And if the people were good enough at that work, my opinion is if the people were good enough at that work, they wouldn't accept a fraction of their worth to work an 80-hour-a-week job, like an incredibly demanding job.
Incredible.
Like when I worked at that business, I was paid $75,000 a year, which is amazing. But there's this quote from, I try to make references to things, but there's this quote from Hank Azaria. All right, he's one of the voices on The Simpsons. A lot of the voices. Now he flubbed some numbers. He was giving some generalist stuff, but he's like, let's say I make $5 million a year to be a voice actor of like 1/5 of the cast of The Simpsons. I mean, he's like one of the OG original guys, right? You'd be like, wow, you sip into a vocal booth for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, read scripts, and you get paid $5 million. That is an incredibly job. He's like, yeah, but I'm also 20% of the cast of a business that's worth $1 billion.
Right.
They pay me $5 million to make $1 billion. So the point is, you are never going to get paid what you are worth. There's no way to equate your time and your effort to the actual ramifications of the job. So you cannot change your pricing based on the level of the business that you're dealing with. That job where I was paid $75K a year, which is amazing. That was my first day job. Like, I didn't know how to use Outlook. I was showing up in like cowboy boots and like baseball tees and torn jeans. Everybody else had like
looking at Charley crazy in the office. Like,
but also
because
like,
it wasn't that kind of company. It was very like
people were in the, like dressed like you were a little casual right now.
Yeah, like it was like it wasn't a creative agency. It was like a very traditional,
very corporate turnkey.
Yes, black building, no window.
Black.
Did we have windows?
I mean,
He said, "Did we have windows?"
No, we didn't have no fucking windows.
So like, yeah, I mean, like, so you got to understand that's the environment, right? So the point is, I got paid $75K a year. But on that one client, I made him $40,000 a day. The point of that story is, my time is worth X amount of money, not necessarily because the worth to you, but if I say yes to you and I turn down something else, there's an opportunity cost to that.
Yep.
I started at $10 an hour.
Yep.
I got 4 or 5 clients. And this is for anybody freelancing. If you want to make some money, the path to making $100,000 a year is pretty simple. Easier said than done, but fairly simple. I started at $10 an hour. I then I got a couple people I then charge the next person 15. I then charge the next person 20. When I got to like 6 clients, I went back to the first one and said, hey, my new rate's $20. Now, if they say, great, awesome, they're paying me, I double my paycheck. If they say, kick rocks, why am I going to pay you an extra $10? Well, first off, I'm not worth it. Second, cool, I just filled my book with a 20 and I dropped a 10. My time is going up in value.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did that over and over again. Now, if you're in the media buying space and you want to make $100,000, the simplest path to it, if you get a $50,000 a year job and 2 clients that'll pay you $2,000 a month, you're at $100,000 a year. Like it's that shape. That's $98,000.
Yeah, facts.
So like, you can deconstruct that. What if instead of making that, you work part-time? What if you got 2 part-time jobs for like $30,000 a piece and got 2 clients that paid you $2,500?
Yeah.
You got 2 part-time jobs, you're working like 15, 25 hours a week.
Just
You're making a couple hundred.
No
So
problem.
the point of it is, that's how you figure out your value, is like, what can you convince somebody to say yes to? And the more important thing isn't how much money, what is the max you can spend? The point of it is, what are the relationships where somebody doesn't leave? So like, if I charge somebody $10,000 a month to work with them, I could probably charge them $25,000, but that $10,000, they might stick with me for years.
Yep.
That's money in the bank. I got some performance stuff on top of it, but that is less and less work.
Yeah.
moving forward.
Less pitching, less outside, less renegotiating.
And my time even
less-
All
with
the
that
shit that
business,
we
because
tired
we're working
of.
together and they're doing well.
Yeah.
I'm not hustling 20 hours a week on figuring out that
So,
business.
and they not killing you on the fucking call asking you about stupid shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So-
a peaceful client, I love a peaceful client. That's like
So like, if I'm making $10,000 a month and I work, let's say there's 5 weeks in a month. I work like 10 hours a week on that client. That $10,000 is spread across 50 hours. That's very different than I work 1 hour a week on that same client because we've been together for a year. I'm making more money
yes,
because I'm working less on that, even if the paycheck is the same. And that opens me up to get more.
So, and I got one more on my side. I don't know if you do too, but then we could do lightning round too.
Okay, yeah, we still have a bunch of like.
I got a ton of shit.
Yeah,
left.
no, I mean, I'm chilling.
trying to go to the. I want to.
No, I know,
I
but he
mean, look,
pivoted to something that I want to ask him
The
about.
baby's asleep at this point.
All right,
you know,
cool,
like
cool.
I might
Oh,
not
we
be able to
good.
get out again until 2027. Like
great.
that's like you said.
All right, perfect.
It
So
might be our first 3
y'all
hours.
made
Break them off with a drink. You got another water for me, so I'm good.
y'all made a natural a shift into what my next question is going to be about, right? Which
Oh,
is
thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. Look at that man. Listens. I
of
like
course,
it.
man. He's
Doesn't
very
even say
attentive,
nothing.
very attentive guy.
Very.
So
I'm terrible at that empathy.
So y'all made a pivot into this next thing, right? For me, which is you going from Charley T, the media buying professional, Charley T, the Facebook ads expert,
Yeah.
Charley T, the freelancer / agency owner or whatever it is, into Charley T, the founder of the Disruptor School, and Charley T, who has scaled over $1 billion in revenue for different brands, right?
Sure.
So my question for you is, how did you go about that change from master media buyer to like entrepreneur, content creator, and educator? And what was sort of your motivation behind saying, okay, I'm good enough at this that I'm going to make it my job to teach people this?
Sure.
Because I think a lot of people, like Steve and I both, just a little more context, Steve and I both are, relatively new to the space of like putting ourselves out there as educators,
Sure.
right? Versus just being marketers. So how did you make that shift and what motivated that shift?
I mean, that's a great example of how we were talking about the really successful businesses. Like what the business they started versus the business they have are very different things.
Yeah.
So I will start that answer by saying I had no idea. Like if we just took a point where like I hired you, right? Like at that job.
Yeah.
I had no concept that a decade later I'd be a bi-coastal business owner with.
You can say multimillionaire. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. They
dude,
want to hear
I
that.
said- look,
You
dude.
two want to hear that Charlie. Come on, show them the Lambo. Show them the penthouse in Miami.
No.
If you want to be a multi-millionaire, that's how they do it,
Fuck
man.
that. I have a $1 million house in LA and a $2 million apartment in Manhattan, and I drive a Volkswagen bus.
Hey, it's a nice bus though.
Yeah,
he texted me downstairs. He's like, I just got off the bus. I was like,
well, you took
Charlie,
the bus
you
here?
rich as fuck. What are you talking about the bus?
No, I bought the new Volkswagen bus.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's fire. He was like, I just got off the bus. I was like, what are you talking about? The public transport?
Public transport.
I was like, I know he might be frugal, but I'm like,
you never know. I'm so interested to open this can of worms about culture class.
So the thing though is like with all that, what did that path for me? Because the thing is, there was no blueprint. Mm-hmm. I had no idea, but I was fortunate enough to be in a space where I had more exposure to opportunity than almost anybody else. Like at that time where I was the guy that hired you, Facebook, nobody cared about.
At all.
And I had a 7-figure daily budget and access to the directors of like the product development.
Daily.
And yeah.
Mm-hmm. They used to be in the office.
Yeah. And people come by the office and nobody cared. And so the thing is, I was in this wonderful opportunity of like, I happened to have graduated with an MBA as my 3rd college degree. So I was a data guy. I could do case studies. Mm-hmm. A lot of our clients, and part of the contract was you had to do alphas and spend a ton of money. Like one example, there's this car company, and we had to spend a 7-figure budget on an alpha, and that was part of the contract. Every quarter, you had to spend 7 figures on an alpha from the platform.
What exactly is an alpha?
Okay, so what that means is you had to test a new product, an ad product from a platform with $1 million, so that they could stay cutting edge, so they could stay ahead of the curve, right? Mm-hmm.
And why was the budget $1 million?
That's what
the number that they felt like was enough significant.
I guess so.
Okay.
Middle management, group think,
corporate shit.
Somebody on a line item was like 1,000,000,000 needs to be done.
Absolutely love it.
Right?
Unquestioned.
Yeah.
I mean,
and come back and say it's not enough and increase it by 10% next year.
Oh yeah, no, because I go back to my number one. By the way, side note: the number one way I got him to spend more money is that when I give him a report on what I did with the cash. Let's say he gave me $1 million. I'd say, this is what we would have done with 2.5. This is what we did with 1.5. Here's what we did with $1 million. How much money do you not want to make next month? Easy. Fish in a barrel. Because I'm arming the guy at that company to go to his boss, be like, you want to make more money? I'm helping. Remember, your job in an agency is to make the guy that writes the check look good to his boss. I'm arming him with the ammunition to get a raise. Mm-hmm. I'm arming him with the ammunition to get upgraded. I mean,
the best motivator you got.
So let me just here's softball. Just like go hand this sheet to your boss, brings me back a larger budget, right? And like that client that I'm talking about with $1 million a day, we started at $50,000 a month, and I was just like, this is what we could have done with $250,000. How many people do you not want to reach? And like just presenting it as this is easy. You're just how much worse do you want to get? And just up. And point is, great sales pitch. Again, my life experience as when I was in Little League, I was the #1 candy bar salesman in West Springfield Little League. I set the record every single year for the most candy bars sold. Every year, if you sold the most candy bars, you got a gift card to Toys R Us. So I got a new Huffy bike every summer.
Tough.
Yeah, Huffy, mountain bike every summer, fresh with a gift card from West Springfield Little League for selling the most Hershey candy bars. Now, what that did is it taught me how to stop somebody on the street outside a grocery store or a Blockbuster or the candy shop and sell them the item that they're going inside to buy for a bigger price than they can get it. Literally standing outside a Blockbuster that's got the movie theater candy, selling them the exact same thing for twice the price outside. Learning how to get that sales pitch. And I did it year after year. And then I got into radio and I was a touring musician. And one of the things I learned on being a touring musician is when you get off stage, it's not the worst question you can ask is, hey, thanks for supporting. You want to buy a t-shirt? Mm-hmm. That no is a possible answer. Mm-hmm. So the question is, which t-shirt do you want to buy? Conversion rate goes up 500%, right? Now you slap on that the fact that I was an intravenous heroin addict and I got to make money. Like all this life experience put me in a position of like getting really good. One, at understanding consumer psychology or human psychology, how to sell a thing, how to communicate it. Mm-hmm. And then I spent a decade as a touring musician, like a frontman in a band and on the radio. So I learned how to communicate to people. And then because my life depended on my ability to separate somebody from their money so I could go buy, like I got real good at sales. So when digital marketing came around, easy, right? How do I convince absolute strangers to separate them from their cash? Oh, here's Facebook ads. Done. So the point is, to answer your question, we all have a life experience that gives us the stuff that brings us to who we are. Your ability to take your commodity skill and pair that with your life experience to provide a combination that creates undeniable value is what separates you from being replaceable. If your job is just a button pusher, there's somebody else that'll take a smaller paycheck and work harder. You are a commodity item. Why am I going to buy the Yeezys when I can get them on the Amazon? Right? Same conversation, but now it's like, why am I going to pay this guy $10 an hour and get somebody else to do it for $2? Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter. If you are 100% replaceable, you are not worth any more money than whoever's going to do the job for the cheapest. Bottom line, you aren't worth more than that. Now that puts you in a bad position if you're in America, because somebody in the Philippines will do that job for a third of the price and work harder than you. You can't even live on that. So like you got to provide something above and beyond that. So all that to be said, when I left the agency world, I went brand side at a company. One of the values of being in the agency is everybody in that room is kind of doing the same thing. You got camaraderie. You got a community. Now again, not the plan. Dumb luck is what happened. I always said grind until the luck thing happens, right? Maybe I should have been a candy bar salesman. Maybe I should have taken that, the scholarships for go to law school, whatever it was. Because we were talking about before, like I had that. I got Mensa at like 7 years old, aced the LSATs, all that dumb shit. That doesn't mean anything.
Means something.
I mean, whatever. Look, I was in Mensa at 7. The other stuff was just it's participation. What it meant was that somebody could say, oh, you got potential. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That is the most rude, disrespectful thing you can ever tell anybody. Also, it's highly fun. Oh, I got potential? You're saying I'm not doing shit. Fuck you, watch me, right? And so I have that chip on my shoulder. And so all of that combination, when I leave the agency world, I needed to find comrades. I needed to find somebody. So like 2015, 2016, I left and I didn't have anybody. So my first thing was I went to Facebook groups. And I was just like, oh, there's Facebook groups of media buyers, people trying to do ad leaks and all this other stuff. Like, let me go into these groups. And I very quickly realized that not many of those people have been spending a couple $1 million a day. Mm-hmm. I happened to be 1,700 steps before guy number 2. 1,000%. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a Formula One driver talking to kids.
You walked into the gym and you was Michael Jordan.
Yeah, right?
You're like, oh,
like, I probably didn't know.
I'm Michael Jordan at a 6th grade fucking field day, and I had no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I did was I said, all right, let me turn this around. And I made an effort to post every day. I wrote down all the tips and tricks and all the tactics, everything that I did. And I made a point to post every single day one tip and as many groups as I spammed them, right? So I would join like 20, 30 groups. I would literally have a tab on my desk because I didn't have any
jobs. Did you have a course, a community in mind at this point?
No, I didn't even know that existed.
It's just that he went to the park and he basically was like, holy, wait a minute. they need this additional information. It was like a natural.
Yeah, it's like if you want
intuition.
one-on-one and nobody knows how to dribble.
Yeah, like at least
You're
let me
gonna start
show
teaching
some people how to dribble,
right?
so that you can have somebody to bounce
Yeah,
ideas
so
off.
I can find something.
Yeah.
Well, the
Which
problem-
I kind of mentioned to you before.
Yeah.
We were talking about having a first mover's advantage. Like even me, I was doing traditional advertising in 2012, and then 2015 Facebook when I moved to LA. But I'm light years ahead of most people that do Facebook or anything digital because you just
started
weren't
in
doing it.
The time and place.
Yeah, the time and you
Which
just
is
were
dumb.
not do it.
You couldn't have planned that.
Exactly.
When you were in middle school, you were like, yo, 2015, I'm gonna move to LA. No, when I graduated my MBA, Facebook ads didn't even exist.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Right? So to
same
answer your
thing.
question, I decided to go there and just disseminate info. Because what I decided was good or bad, this is going to be the way that I get to at least communicate to others.
Yes. You didn't have nobody to talk to.
So I'm just throwing shit out there. I'm throwing chum in the water. Just somebody talk to me. Tell me why I'm wrong. Like do something. I like the
So
only
no business motivation initially.
No idea.
Just
No.
connection, engagement.
no concept of
Yeah.
that even being a thing.
Okay.
I fully believe that there's no way I can run a business.
Yeah.
Like I'm a junkie. That
Yeah.
some idiot decided to pay $75,000 to and realized on day 3 I was a bad hire and I was still better than everybody in the room.
Right.
Oh, you were addicted while you still were at the job?
No. But I'm 12 years clean. I'm still a heroin addict.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't eat a donut. You know, like people are like, oh, yeah, I have a drink, I break out in handcuffs 2 days later. Like, if I were to go home right now and stop and get a tub of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, a week from now, I'm going to put on 4 pounds and be like, shit, I just got to start over. Like, I don't have a chill on that, right? So, that's also in my nature. So I got that. I got a whole bunch of insecurity. I got a whole bunch of life experience. I got a whole bunch of all this other stuff. And also, I'm a little autistic. I don't make friends well, and I got nobody to talk to. So my entire existence is like MySpace bulletin board version shit on Facebook groups, just sharing out into the ether. Now, the fun thing that happened was a lot of these groups were built by folks where that was their funnel. I knew more than everybody else in that group, including the guys that were doing it. I even saw one guy, his name is Tim. He sold this thing called Cloud CBO. That was his big idea when CBO first came out.
What's CBO?
Campaign budget.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
So when it was brand spanking new, like it was the new thing.
Yeah.
I was at a.
Damn.
Yeah. So what's that? Anyway, look, you said it.
What's a free throw?
Yeah. So here's the point. I was at a conference in Las Vegas.
Okay.
It ended up being like this Mickey Mouse operation, but whatever. Dude is on stage preaching his new idea, Cloud CBO. It's my deck that I built with Facebook for what I call bucket-based CBO and the CBO thing. He literally was preaching my deck that was handed to him by a rep who shouldn't have handed it to him. And I knew the slides before he came on.
Oh, shit.
Like by slide 5, I was like, oh, this is my shit. This is my shit from September. And he's in April preaching this thing because I was part of the alpha.
Yes, yeah.
So anyway, that kind of stuff was happening. I started getting kicked out of every group. So part of me is like, oh, fuck you. So I started to join every group. And I started to get people that followed me from group to group because I was the only person that was actually doing something. We were like, oh yeah, you're full of it, whatever. And I was working at a company where we were, our Shopify was hitting 100K a day or whatever, right? And it started at 35, I got to do 100. By the time I hit 100K, I would just go home that day. My job's done. I'm getting in trouble for watching too much Game of Thrones at my desk and just starting ad agencies and playing around on Facebook. I don't actually do anything, right? Because I figured out how to make the machine do all the work, which is a whole other thing. But what happened is I started to build a following. I accidentally built a brand, a personal brand, where people started following me. It got to the point in 2018 where I was banned from every Facebook group on Facebook that talked about ads. Over 400 groups had banned me for life from being a member. And what happened is these two guys in particular, one guy, Rava Rayhill, who used to work at Triple Whale, now he works at Matt. He was like, bro, what are you gonna, like, you need to make your own group. Like, I'm just sick and tired of bouncing around to find you. And he had been through like 37 groups or whatever, bouncing, following me to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And he was like a media buyer for Whole Foods at the time. And now like he's done some other really big stuff. And we're homies, we're in like a fantasy football league together. And I owe him a pair of sneakers. I was gonna get him these one things, but like, I didn't realize they were gonna be $2,000. But anyway, the point is, he peer pressured me into starting my own group.
Oh, okay.
So what I did is I was like, simple, all right. I'm gonna do my own group. Here's what I'm gonna do. Saturday mornings, I'm gonna go live for an hour in my group. And because I can't spam other groups with information, I'm just gonna give a 30-minute lesson and take some questions. Live on Facebook in my group, right? That group started to grow because everybody started spreading the word of that, right? And so that was, I think at the time, it was like Charley, teas, bots, ads, and like
I'm still a part of that. What are you talking about?
So like, the thing is,
I still get notifications.
yeah. So the thing is, that group started to grow, and so I got sick and tired of answering the same question all the time. Now, I also happen to be a fantasy football enthusiast. Fantasy footballers had started a Patreon where they would just like go through and answer the questions ever. So it's like, all right, $5 on Patreon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start answering these questions, throw them in a PDF so I don't have to answer this stupid question anymore. So I started a $5 a month Patreon. Like, oh, this thing's popping. I'll make it 10, make it 20, whatever. That Facebook group, over the next 3 years, grew to 18,000 people. That Patreon grew to over $20,000 a month. I'm at this company. They're going for an exit event. When I joined the company, they had another media buyer. I was the second media buyer because it was so much work. He was running about 3,000 a day at a 2.5x ROAS. I was there for a week. That guy put in his notice because I come in, he was just doing things on the seat of his pants. I come in, document everything. Full step, full transparency, everything. And I pull in all the numbers from all the members of the team, right? I take the Facebook ROAS from 2.5 down to a 0.8. And the revenue numbers go from 15 mil a year to 97 mil. Because what I did was, instead of trying to make the Facebook ads look good, I understood that my job was to amplify everybody else on the team. My job of getting a worse ROAS on Facebook basically meant, let me not steal all the low-hanging fruit so we can get those sales from Google, so we can get those sales from organic,
right,
so we can grow the email team. We grew a Facebook community from 20,000 women to 500,000 by putting the link to the community in every ad. That community member alone would crush stuff. We did fun things like, I would make a separate side group of all the baller, like just the most engaged women, like 100, 200 women, right? Now it's a nutrition space, not a weight loss company, right? And that VIP group, in order to become a member, whenever I dropped a winning ad into that group, you had to post before and after pictures and tell your story. Violate all the terms and services in the comment section. So all of our ads had 100 before and after stories of all the most active members of the group. And you're like, I don't know, this ad is a community, let me go see it. Susan said this and Becky said that, and, you know, whatever. And then you go to the group, oh my, they're the most active people in the group. They're still here.
So you'd have, just real quick, so you'd have the group essentially, I don't want to use the word spam, but like,
spam.
Yeah, you'd have the group spam the comment section of your ads.
Yeah. So I would basically gamify the review, because your ad is also the comment section is like the review section of like an Amazon listing. So I would just import 100 success stories. So my estimated action rate on every ad was amazing, because people would sit there and watch the 30-second, the 5-minute before and after video. They'll like, woman would be like, oh my God, this company changed my life. Here's all the things. And there's 100 of them. And you join the group for free, and that woman is there just helping everybody do stuff because they're evangelists, right? So like, we're doing all of that stuff. And I'm running the ads at a 0.8 because my goal isn't to make the Facebook ad account look good. It's to drive up organic search. It's to drive up paid search. It's to drive up email. It's to drive up Amazon searches. It's to drive up all the other revenue sources. I am the volume knob on the business. I am not there to make money. I'm there to make everything that makes money have 10 times the opportunity. That business, again, went from 15 mil to 97. The owner of the company, Kim, did not take the check from Deloitte, decided to not exit the business. And shortly thereafter, there was an exodus of the top talent. The VP of that company left. And he went to another company. On a Monday, he started. On a Tuesday, he filled out paperwork. On a Wednesday, I was there meeting with him and the founder of the company. And the guy basically was like, look, what do you need? and then got it from the table, and the guy went up from the cards. So this one you're gonna ask for him, and all this. I'm sure they arranged something, and I'm sure it was a fraction of what it was worth. I probably could have asked for $250. They gave me $160K, full benefits, and profit sharing, right? And we were so anyway. I did the same thing at that company. But the point is, while all this is happening, in my professional career, that Facebook group is continuing to grow. Right? That Patreon is continuing to grow. And all I'm doing is I'm now like once a month or whatever, just taking all the questions and I'm building a curriculum accidentally because I'm like, come on, this is what a retargeting ad is. By definition, these are the best practices. Like this is what a lookalike audience is. This is what you're supposed to do. And so I ended up just building textbooks because I got sick and tired of answering the same fucking question over and over again. So I'm just like, look, if you want the answer to this question, it's in the Patreon. It's like $20. And then eventually became like $100. And then I built a Slack community off of it for like the premium. So then I would have my chat on the Slack community because and what I ended up doing was instead of doing the free stuff on Facebook, I did it on Slack, and to be a part of the Slack community was $100. Then it was $250. Then it was $500. Right? And by the time, still that was still Charley's ads, bots, whatever. Disruptor School didn't exist like as it does now. And then like COVID happened. And I was training ad agencies and people had gotten to know me from that brand kind of stuff. And what I started to do was take my hour-long, like me, bad lighting, hair all over the place, hadn't showered in 2 days, whatever the fuck, and just like my video from the Facebook group. And I just started putting them on YouTube. And just like, here's a really bad video with a terrible thumbnail and the worst SEO possible on it, right? And just started spamming that out. And started to do that, and then eventually, I got to the point where I was earning $20,000 to $30,000 a month from consulting, and from like consulting calls where it was like $100 an hour, then $200 an hour, then $500 an hour, whatever it was. Those calls and that community, the Patreon, and it's still at the time I was like, I can't start a business. Like, who am I? Like chip on my shoulder, like I'm a fucking heroin addict. I'm just teaching these people how to do stuff. And then eventually, during COVID, enough ad agencies were hiring me to teach their entire teams how to do stuff. Because I'd also standardize things. Because at that point, I've been in the game 7, 8 years. I'd standardized everything. I had written down every single thing because I had hired enough people. I had trained enough people. And I got sick and tired of answering the same stupid question over and over again that I just wrote down the answer so I didn't have to bother with you. And what ended up happening is I built out an entire manual of everything everybody should ever know. Just by sheer attrition of being pissed off at stupid questions, right? Dumb shit. And then it just was like, oh, I'm just going to monetize access to it. $5, $10, $15, $20, $50, $100. Hey, if you join the 201, my weekly lives are now only in the 201. And I still have people that joined in 2020 that are still in there paying $200 a month or whatever for that thing, right? And so what I did during COVID is I was the anti-course guy forever. Because all the people running courses were terrible. And I had been kicked out of every group that they had ever started. The guys that had founded Ad Leaks and the Common Thread collectives of the world and all of these scammers had kicked me out of all of their funnels because I was well more educated than them and I was citing my case studies that they were teaching a year and a half later, but like not giving all of the context. And you still see that today. Like I developed a process for how to use cost caps. That is the business model for every cost cap agency that exists today. I invented that in 2018. They run that playbook, but they're only running page like 5 to 18. They're not running page 1 through 4. They're not running page 19 to 30. They're just doing the like predatory thing because it's the easiest thing to rinse and repeat as an operational.
And sell
right?
to somebody who doesn't.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing to basically drain somebody's funnel and give them enough performance so that they sign the second check of a 3-month contract, right? Like, and so it's built around that whole thing. And so I ended up building a course. And my wife had found this woman, her name is Janae Rose. She no longer does this business, but my wife has a Pilates studio. And we got married, I paid for my wedding in cash and all that stuff. And like, during COVID, she had to shut down, right? So she shut down the Pilates studio. So she made an online program. She went to this woman, Janae Rose. She found her on Instagram or whatever. And she was basically like, I'm going to teach you how to build an info product to make a $10,000 a month, right? And it's like, get a cohort of like 12 people to pay you $800. Like, let me help you teach you how to build an Instagram to sell this thing, to build that thing, right? My wife hates Instagram, doesn't really do that stuff. She's an in-person business thing. She's just like bulldog her way through some shit and make it happen. She knows her business stuff. And I was like, she can make it work. She can hit a $10,000 a month. I'm actually good at this. I've been doing this forever. Let me build a course. And I'd also at this time, ironically also, had to join Twitter. Because I did an interview with some guy in an ad agency that I trained, and one of the interviews was like, hey, you have to make a Twitter account so we can shout you out or whatever. So I built a Twitter account called CT The Disruptor so I could find all the other people from the Disruptor group, because which is a whole other saga of this thing, but I was in the founding member of the Facebook's Disruptor group back when I was at that brand. We got to 95 or whatever, so we were defining the best practices when broad targeting and CBO and catalog ads and dynamic creative and all that stuff was invented. So I hadn't talked to any of those people in 2-3 years because I had left that company and then COVID happened. So I named my account CT The Disruptor because I had one from when I was a radio guy that I didn't use. And I was like, I'm just going to go find all the Disruptor folks. And I realized that none of them branded themselves. They were all just employees. Like none of them were like the entrepreneur that I had slowly become in the moment accidentally by just attrition and loneliness and like, you know, insecurity and like desperation of just like, can I have a friend? Can I talk to somebody? Because like nobody knows what the fuck I'm doing. And that course, I charged $2,000. I made over 150 grand in like 45 days. And I was just like, oh shit. And so that launched, I think in March of 2021. I quit my part-time job at one agency. I quit my part-time job at another agency, and I left that company that I was at. So I quit basically $250K in salary. And I was like, I made $150,000 tax-free. Apparently you have to pay tax.
Apparently.
But like, yeah,
we thought.
Apparently. But the point is, so then I got married that summer. I paid for the wedding in cash. And then that was so good. I was like, oh, let me join the community that she was in. That Janae Rose. So I joined that thing. And I built a program that cost $9,500. And then that, I sold a cohort of that 6 people. It took me like 2 weeks. I was like, oh shit, okay.
I got a business on my hand.
And then, yeah.
6 people.
And then 6 people, $9,500.
We're talking about close to 100 grand, right?
I mean, that was about 60.
No, 60. Sorry. Yeah.
So I did it again.
10 times.
So I did it again 3 months later.
Okay.
And then I did it again 2 months after that.
Yeah.
Now we're talking $100,000.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was like 6, 5. Now
So the light bulb went off at that point.
Yeah, so that was the point where like, okay, I can do this. And even at that
Who
point,
are these people that were paying that much money?
people that had been following me on YouTube for years.
Okay.
They had been in my Facebook group forever.
Yes.
They had bought my course. They had been following me on Twitter. They had seen me on some interviews.
Yeah.
They had seen me when I got a Twitter account. I started to do the same thing that I did back in the Facebook days. I still have the list.
Yeah.
Because it was on like I just went back to my face. I had the actual raw post stuff, and so then I just went on, and anybody that gave bad information, I was just like, I would correct them in public. Well, apparently I was correcting in public all the well-respected individuals that run all these scammer companies. And I would basically go to their comment section and all their tweets and be like, you're lying. This is what it actually is. If somebody does that, these are all the things that are going to happen. And the order it's going to happen, why it's going to happen, and when it's going to go wrong. As soon as all that shit hits the fan, people are like, wow, this guy told me everything was going to go wrong in the exact way it's going to happen and told me how to fix it for free. He's selling the thing so I can know what he's doing. Fish in a barrel. And at that point, it was like, okay, I got something.
Yep.
And I still didn't have the confidence to start the business.
Yeah.
But I did 3 cohorts in that community. And then I started taking YouTube seriously. Then a year later, I finally built the business because I was like, oh my God, okay, I think I could actually do this. Like, it took me that long. At that point, I went from 150,000 on the first round to 400,000 the next 6 months to like 700 grand. And I was like, okay, I think I could actually start a business. I like part-time info products. like
yeah, that shit would have clicked for me at like 40,000.
Yeah,
but I could follow why.
Yeah.
The what and why.
Because why he's in it is the difference between him and the rest of those dudes, right?
Yeah,
like the rest of those dudes would be like, I got something. I'm gonna charge these motherfuckers
Yeah,
as much
Because
as
it's
I
not a
can.
scam. It's
Yeah.
First of all, it's strategic. But then now, at each tier, there has to be information of value for that tier of people, and then you got to organize that information in a digestible
and that
way.
happened naturally.
Yeah.
That happened naturally because the first group was just everybody trying to do something that was sick and tired of being scammed by people on Facebook groups.
Right.
So it was all entry level shit.
Yeah.
And then people had enough money to pay me more, so they asked me more advanced questions. And all I did there was like, we'd have a weekly class. I'm on for an hour. Share your screen. Let me solve your problems.
Oh, you would individualize the
Yeah, I mean, we just did it. The class was an hour. Ask a question.
Oh, that is the class.
That's the class. It's like 3-4 people ask a question, and then okay, well, what if I just record all of these as 4 different videos, and in my community I'll just disperse the videos. So now those are lessons. So then the people asking me questions is building curriculum, and then I'm starting to get my reps in the questions that people are asking. 3 years later, I built the information product, the course of like how to build a winning Facebook ad account. And to be completely fair, I wrote the entire thing as Instagram Reels while walking my dog around the neighborhood one morning. I was just like, you need to know this. You need to know. I went on a fucking rant. And I was like, oh, this stuff works. Let me just record a 45-minute video of this 30-second Instagram Reel rant. Packaged it up, $2,000, sold a ton of them. And so, like, at that point, I felt like,
Did you re-record them to make them polished? Or no?
I mean, I did, so it was a 30-second Instagram Reel, and I was like, I knew the topics. And I knew the order that I was going to do it in, because it was just me being like, it was just me going off.
So you just knocked them out.
And then I was like, each reel was a topic.
Yeah.
And then I basically was like, all right, I'm gonna record a 30 to 45-minute video on this.
That's the advantage when you know what the fuck you talking about.
on the one, like you did record a clean version.
Which was me with my like laptop camera with a drop cloth behind me and like a logo.
Yeah.
Which looked janky as shit. And everybody was like, you looked terrible. It looked scammy. It looked low res. It was like it was 720. Just the worst shit ever. But the info was better than anything anybody else had.
That's what the people.
And that's all the people care about.
Yeah.
And so then the school came up of me figuring out retroactively, okay, I'm just gonna do the high ticket stuff. And then like I got a student of mine to sell the high ticket stuff, so I didn't have to take sales calls anymore. So then I dove into YouTube, just trying to go back to the original video, the original posts that I did. Now, instead of spamming posts out, I'm gonna make videos like once or twice a week of that same thing. And what I did once a week is I made a 30-minute video. And I'm a radio DJ, so I know time blocking and how to basically talk up to the break of the song, do the next thing. So I'd write 3 topics. I'd be like, I'd come up with a topic for the conversation. It might be like while I'm walking out to go. I had no idea what I was gonna say. Sometimes I would like decide on the walk out to my office, right? Because my office is in my backyard. And turn on the camera. I might have 3 things written on a sticky note. Like these are my 3 topics. 2-minute intro. At exactly 2 minutes, I'm starting the first topic. At 12 minutes, second topic. 22 minutes, third topic. 32 minutes, outro. Done. And I could do that at the drop of a hat. So I did that for a year. And they all got 300, 500, 600 views, whatever. But that built an audience of all the people like, holy shit, who is this like person with no views, where everything is wrong, with better advice than anybody. And I ended up building this entire thing. And as a result of all of that and helping other people out, my exposure to so many different things brought me to a place where I got to solve so many other problems in so many different ways with everything that I organically just was like, now, if you ask me why did I do this stuff, I have no idea. Like, I have no idea why I was like, okay, I'm going to make a YouTube. And retroactively looking back at it, I think I'm a musician. I've always been on stage. COVID happened. I couldn't get on stage. So like I found a way to perform. An artist finds an audience, right? Shit, nobody's watching. 600 views is more than any. That's more people that have been to any show of my band, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm here. I should have dropped that motherfucking mixtape on Activision's Twitter.
What's your biggest audience?
Man, biggest audience I probably ever performed in front of was probably like, and shout out to him, man. I opened for Talib Kweli.
Okay.
On we called it the West Coast Run. My good friend Brandon, you know Brandon. He put together a West Coast run of openers. Okay. And it was just some shit where Kweli was like, all right, yeah, whatever, they get open. He didn't give a fuck. But it was like Vegas, San Diego, and LA. And at the time, I was actually working at that spot.
Okay.
And at the time, I was like, I'm gonna tear this shit down, right? The biggest show was San Diego. I still got footage. We could chop that up with this episode too. That show was popping. I had him sing happy birthday to my mom. It was my mom's birthday. I had him sing happy birthday to my mom. It was probably about like about 200 people in there, 250. Okay. I had some shows when I went to Howard. I performed. I did Howard Homecoming, so you can put that. That was probably about 1,700. Yeah. But I totally feel you from the aspect, and that's the feeling I get still from this. A lot of times people are like, man, why are you not rapping no more? First of all, rapping is not the type of thing where you can't be a session rapper or like, hey, I rap every Tuesday down at Joe's Burger Bar. Like, it's not like playing a sax or even singing. Because like, you can be the singer in Mastro's and be like, nobody. I mean, I ain't saying it like that, but you know, like, and you can find work. Rapping don't fucking work like that. Like, you're either famous or you're a fucking nobody. Like, it ain't no catch me every Wednesday. So, you know, I feel you in terms of getting the creative juices rolling. That's why I enjoy doing this with Steve. That's why I enjoy, even when I started making content, that bug was kind of like a similar bug. Like, yo, I'm making some shit. And like, somebody could like, we talk all the time, like, yo, if I go on Instagram and I talk about like gender roles or some bullshit, which is why we call it business is bullshit, because we know the algorithms. Yeah. And it's like, if I do some bullshit versus if I give like business advice, like the algorithms kind of don't like that shit. Like, they don't tend to like.
Well, because viewers don't casually want to absorb that.
You know, but it's still, even regardless of like what the engagement is or whatever, the people that do like it, I know I'm bringing them value, and that brings me value.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo.
It's the craziest thing when I get on a call with somebody and they're like, look, I'm a little starstruck. I'll probably watch 100 hours of your videos. And I'm like, oh, you're the one. Like, where are all these views coming from? I drop a video, I get 100, 1,000, whatever views. I'm like, who are these people?
That's funny.
Like, so the point of, that's like where the business comes from.
Yeah.
Is that eventually it got to the point of like, where it really happened for me is during COVID, I was watching football. My buddy came up to me and said, your social media looks stupid. I could do better. And I was like, bro, I'll pay you $100 to do a better job. And that's when I got my first like person on payroll. And at that point, like, it was an operation.
Yeah.
It took me probably 2 years to hire another person, and that person lasted for like a month. But that's when it started to happen. Like, when it wasn't just, because it got to the point where my buddy was an out of work actor during COVID, like, it got to the point where I started to pay his rent. You know, like my paycheck was what made his rent work. And that's where it really kicked in that, like, one, my goal is, I know there's a lot of predatory, low integrity people who are trying to monetize whatever they can that legitimately, one, don't care about the people, or two, like, if you give bad advice, either A, you don't know what you're talking about, in which case people shouldn't trust you, or B, you do know what you're talking about and you do it anyway, in which case fuck you and people shouldn't trust you.
So how does a person get a heroin addict to say, like, I trust a heroin addict?
I mean, I don't know. Like, apparently people do. So, like, but here's the thing, is that, like, I mean, one, I think I'm open about all my shit. And like, all my videos now, like, my daughter will be on my lap. Like, I was doing a class today, and I was like, yo, I got to change this diaper. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
It's definitely the authenticity, and it was interesting for me, because you talk about people who watch the hours, like, I ended up being one of those people, but I already had a personal relationship with them.
That's
so it was really weird on the low. Like, I'm like,
oh, you was watching like as a fan,
bro. So like, it was funny because it was in between the time. I mean, I won't get too personal, but like, I was fresh single. I had moved out, and I was like in a locked in phase in my business, like sort of where you are right now. I mean, we've always been locked in, but like, you know, one of those like, extra. Like, and I remember thinking like, all right, if this is a service we're gonna provide for people, I need to re-educate my fucking self, you know, about this. I always been cool with Charley. We talked about it. I had no Facebook ads in the top, you know, percentile of people, but like, let me relearn this shit, right? And it was to the point where I would have a girl over and they'd be like, who the fuck is this white dude? Because I'm watching YouTube on the TV.
That's the shit that creeps me out.
I just became, and I'm like,
it blows my mind. I get tagged in like Instagram stories, and it's like somebody's living room
Bro.
My face is 4 feet tall.
I'm talking about I'm in the crib late night, like I'm going to sleep to this motherfucking Charley T. Like, you need to do one campaign strategy. I'm locked the fuck in, but I'm like, I know him, so it's kind of weird, but it's also like, because I know him, I know he knows what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah.
And I know that I think where you separated yourself, point being, is you didn't gatekeep.
Yeah.
And you also were authentic to yourself, right?
Yeah.
And that's not even just me knowing you, that's me just looking at the channel. It's like, bro, if you just looked at value, it's like, bro, he's killing everybody on.
All right, but I want to know something. Is there a cultural difference in what you can do when you're white or black? Like, you get on screen, you got your nails painted.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, dude, the amount of people, like, I got a comment from somebody, an overseas guy,
Okay.
who heard through his drop shipping friends that had learned from some of the folks that I'm regularly checking.
Okay.
Who point is, his comment was like, I really appreciate your enthusiasm and how positive you are as like a member of the trans community helping people. And I was like, first off,
Yo, bro.
thank you for the support. Second, I got nothing but love for anybody. But that is not my story.
Yeah.
I don't want any of that credit. That is not who I am.
Yeah.
And like, thank you, but that's also like not like.
Yeah.
So, I when you pull me up versus anybody else, and I'm now strategic about it. I had no fucking clue earlier.
About what?
Just like the content. Most people have a good editor. They use good cameras. There's nice visuals so you can follow along, and the information is like concise, and they're always giving you the latest thing.
Yeah.
I'm shouting at you for half an hour, no editing, because I had enough time doing radio that I could just like hit record, shout at the screen for 32 minutes, turn it off, done. No cuts, fucking upload it.
Yeah.
If I fuck up,
You good?
starting over,
Okay.
done.
Yeah.
If I have a bad take, fuck it, we're redoing the whole thing. The side of the album is one take.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I probably did that like 3 times over the space of like a year. Not very often. So like, everybody else has highly polished, very visual stuff. And they're always like, you know, it's Iman Ghazi who looks like a millionaire, right? Or it's like Jordan Welsh who's like got that come up, like whatever it is, right? So
They're
got this,
selling
look,
also,
right? And there's a whole bunch of subtle shit that's like, yo, I got money.
Yeah. That's
I
what I'm
got money.
Wait, that's
Don't you want to be like me?
Yes,
we
that's
talked
what
about
I'm
this shit last week.
Like,
And meanwhile, I'm coming in like shouting at you with tattoos, colored hair, painted nails. Shit's low res, and I'm dropping sauce that they'll never do.
Yeah. But did you see like let's say a Nike or you did stuff for New Balance, or fuck the stuff that you did corporate or like while it was married to another brand. When you went independent, do you need to change how you show up in order to feel like you would hit your best audience? Let me not call them best. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A higher ticket, like corporation.
I'll be honest, probably, but I don't care. Like, and maybe that's just being a punk rocker in bands all the time. I'm like, I'll say this: when I was in a band, I know my band is better than yours.
Yeah.
Let's go to a high school gym. Put me under one basketball hoop on one side of the court. You can go on the other.
Yeah.
Whether I'm playing by myself or with the band. This is my mentality. 2 minutes in, you can just leave. Because nobody knows you exist. My Kung Fu is stronger. I'm better than you at this. I can... So like, because of that, there's none of the like, how do I position this stuff to get somebody's credibility? If you don't like me, fuck you.
What's your take?
So for me, that was actually one of the
Or
reasons.
it's not necessarily fuck you, but like sucks.
No,
to be
I
you.
get
I'm
you.
sorry.
So that's why we connected when we first met, because I remember thinking like, and going back to your other question, like, regardless of race, creed, color, whatever, like I remember thinking
but some
like,
people it
no,
matters,
no,
too. I wanna
absolutely,
know
but
if
no,
it's
no,
a
like
factor or
my
not.
entire experience this is like a percentage of why I became a full-time entrepreneur, because I'm like my organic self, my authentic self. It never meshed well in black or white corporate settings, to be completely frank. So it was like either a perception or whatever. And I noticed that in him at that job, although he was senior to me, it was like a slightly older, whiter version of me. Like I saw me in Charley. I was like, he don't really give a fuck. Like and the reason he doesn't give a fuck is because he knows how intelligent he is. He might be cool, he might be laid back, he might be tatted, he might be a musician, he might be all these things, but he knows this shit better than all y'all motherfuckers in here. So the reason why you have him in here, despite him not being the cultural fit with you, is because he knows his shit. And nobody can ever take that away from you. So for me, being an entrepreneur, that was a big part of it. Was like, bro, I gotta be able to show up as myself, because I feel wildly uncomfortable when I can't. Like I'm not me. You know what I mean? So I'll take all the struggles, all the stress, all the late nights, all the ups and downs, because there's no comfort like being able to be your fucking self. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody controls me, bro. I can have an up month, a down month, up year, down year. Like the fact that, and I think that's what is the true entrepreneur spirit, to be honest. Like, it's like, bro, like that level of freedom. I remember doing my best at particular jobs. Like I'm kicking ass. And like the beef that I'm having with my superiors is, do I come in the office at 9:38 or 9:08? And it's like, bro, I'm not about to have a conversation with you about this fucking 30 minutes. Like, you know I'm the best marketer you got. The stats say that. Like, why are we even fucking talking about this? Because there's some other perception that you or someone else over here may have. Like, fuck you and fuck all of that. If I can't speak the way and I'm not a dick, I'm not an asshole to clients or anybody, but like, nah, bro, like to me, that's the reason I do it, is because I have to be able to have the wiggle room to be myself. Like being up in that office, it was like, bro, if I even flinch the wrong way, like one of these ladies might think I'm in here like I'm not supposed to be in. I really got to show my badge when I walk in. Like, yeah, I do work here. Like,
when with us as individuals, we have our companies, and then we are also individual brands. So a person may say, I want to buy from Donnie because I like how he, I like Donnie, or I like
they do like me
personally, or I like Charley. But if your ideal customer, or the customer like a corporation has a specific look, like how much, like us as individuals are products,
sure,
right? So how much do we start to then tailor how we present ourselves to appeal to that?
I mean, I think my impression of that is like, I think that the right answer to that fits also to you to be, true to who you are. Like, some people feel very comfortable. Like, I don't know if you've ever read the book E-Myth Revisited.
No.
And I'm also trying to drop like nuggets on this stuff. Okay, so if you read the book E-Myth Revisited, highly recommend. I don't read a lot, but that's one that I'll recommend. Remember, I didn't go to law school because I had to read. Fuck that. I'm going to Full Sail. Make records and do drugs, which worked out well for me. Yeah. Don't recommend my path. Whatever. I got a lot of dead people's names in my phone book, but in my phone. But it worked out for me.
Yeah.
Point is, it breaks down business operators into basically two separate sections. There's the visionary, and there's the integrator. Now, the visionary is, like, if you look at Apple, Steve Jobs is the visionary. Mm-hmm. Wozniak is the integrator. A lot of brands have that, like, person that, like, logic, reasoning, common sense has no place in what they do. Like, as to how they do things. They're the big picture. And other people are like the get shit done, right? They're like, we're going to be the reason that things get taken care of. And to be fair, like good companies have that in them. And you need, most good operations have both of those. And whoever you are, you probably find somebody's your counterpoint. My point to that is like, a visionary is probably going to go, and you were talking about it, like how you handle things, like when you're talking about that honesty or whatever, for me, that's just being punk rock. Like, I'm just going to be me. If you don't like it, I mean, sucks to be you. Like, that's your loss. You know what I mean? Like, you can go listen to somebody else who's more dressed up that doesn't know what the like, if you want to hear my advice 2 years from now, watered down, and somebody lying to you about it, pay them. Yeah. Or you could just not fail anymore, and I'll just save you time and money. Like, it's up to you. So my point to that is, that's me, my approach as a visionary. I'm an ENTJ type personality type of Myers-Briggs, like the commander, whatever. But there's also people who are like the operator. The integrator. And the integrator, that person's best fit might be like, oh, this is my audience. Let me make sure I give them everything that they want exactly. Their identity might be in that people-pleasing, not in a negative way, but in that thing of like, this is what my people want from me. I'm going to give it to them and make sure that I nail it. And you know, in the world of like entertainment, there are folks that know what their audience wants and gives it to them over and over again, even if that's not who they are. They show up, they do their job. Yeah. And there are other people who are crazy, but are willing to, can build a cult around that craziness, and that's who they are. And to be fair, I think there's both paths. So my point to that is that I think figuring out what is comfortable and natural to you. If you make a mediocre decision executed honestly and with enthusiasm, will outperform the best decision done, but exceptionally poorly. Yeah. Right? And so my point to that is, I think the answer could be both. Okay. It just depends on the situation.
Yeah. So what's my framing or like logic behind this question is because Steve Stout got contracted to rebrand the New York Knicks. And he did a campaign with Kith, and then of course he has the NBA deals. He has his agency Translation, which specializes in digital marketing plus branding, etc. And I always think to myself, well, how do I get to a point where they call me? Now, and that changes because it's not just information. Because now you're not standing on the pedestal of who only knows, Facebook ads or a specific service, and then every upsell tied next to it. But it's like that brand can hire almost anyone in the whole world, and then they start to choose amongst the pool of like.
The available talent or whatever.
Yeah, and they'll go, well, this guy, Steve Stout, he's like fairly polished to an extent, right? And then
but that wasn't his first gig.
No, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't. I use that loosely.
Yeah, he built that up.
I use that loosely. Like,
no, but my point to that is like that personal brand is built also on your reputation. Everybody says it's like, oh, who knows you, or who do you know?
Yeah.
That is, I think, the worst piece of advice. It's not about who you know. It's about who knows you and why.
And why. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, because he started like, you know what I mean?
He was nobody.
He started in music, but that goes back to the Morgan Freeman and all the other points. He started in music and then I think he said like he did the
Rebrand deal with
Men in Black. Yeah, and he was like, I need to get in this advertising. Like,
fucking everything.
Yeah.
Even look at Lady Gaga, right? She was making beats for Akon.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, do you have to be that famous to get that level of consideration? Because McDonald's just left their agency.
I think for
like McDonald's left their agency. I know they probably went to another old school traditional agency. I'm like, how the fuck do I get to McDonald's?
Well, I won't say too much about that, but we tried. But anyway,
but still,
I think I think with that it's different and this is me having like a hybrid of two careers in the advertising space. Right, I spent half my time on the creative side. The agency I actually worked with, Charley, worked with Charley at. I finessed that into like their sister creative agency, which was across the street.
And much cooler.
Yeah. So like it was corporate as fuck. We in there like, they damn near shirt and tie cubicles. And we would go to meetings at the Chiat office, which was across the street. You walk in there, they got a fucking basketball court, a fish tank.
Chill.
It's all type of beautiful women in there. It's creative. I'm like, this is my vibe. Like, I got
I interviewed in that room. They said you got the job. Oh, by the way, go to this.
Go to this cross the street.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it was like
switched me. I thought like, yo, I got this.
Yeah, it was like the coolest. I mean, it still is probably right. Like one of the coolest.
It was in TV shows. And
Yeah,
stuff.
like it was the dopest office, bro. Like it was like one of the offices. It's like, all right, like I work in advertising. Like this shit got cachet to it, you know?
Yeah, like the guy that came up with like the 1984 Apple commercial. His office is like in the little, in just like in one of the like little corridors.
Yeah,
like,
we used to walk past that shit, and it was dope.
he was never there.
He was never there. No, he was too rich to be there. But I say all that to say, I think with the creative agencies, there's a different path and a different social proof and a different, because all of those things matter more in a creative agency. Who are you? What have you done? Who are you connected to? Da, 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 da. Versus when you talk about performance agencies, right? And it's like, okay, like, there's really only one thing that matters. Well, all the shit you were talking about at the beginning, obviously, with the politics and the making the people look good, right?
Yeah,
but like, it's like a different world. I think in the personal brand space, we have more of an opportunity, like Charley's a shining example of, because it's like, eventually the knowledge will win out with those that are looking for it. You know what I'm saying? Like the Lambos, the Miami apartments, the fucking whatever, the chains, all of that, yes, you'll get people you'll get the masses. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll get the masses. You could be
such a weird dynamic that's happening right now. Masses go to the
it's what the platform is. Instagram is a vain platform.
Well, because they want it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, is that it's like,
because mind you, they
but
don't know
Charley's
how to
catching-
hire a marketer.
I mean, look at how popular GLP-1 is.
But it's okay though. This is the thing. It's okay because Charley, how many Instagram followers you got?
Instagram, I don't know,
Like not
10,000?
but it's like,
No,
okay,
that's fair
who gives a
enough.
fuck? Because there's all these dudes that are selling ads and all this. He's catching them where he's supposed to catch them.
Yeah, fact.
He's catching them. He's catching the people with such a higher intent that really want a different level of this information that he has and all these fucking scammers don't have.
Yeah,
so it's like, all I need is my people that want what I have to offer. I don't care about the masses.
Yeah, remember earlier we were talking about the definition of success for a D2C business. You build the audience, what do you need? 5 sales? 10 sales a day? Like, what would it look like if you're spending $10 a day and all of a sudden you get 10 sales a day? What do I need to hit, like $1 million, right? What do I need to hit that number? It's not, let me be the guy that's running 17 companies that's got 130 employees and all that.
Yeah. It's
Right?
what
Like,
do you need for
remember I
that
said,
number?
why do they buy D2C? Because you're overcoming the objection of value. You don't need, like, if you want to start a sneaker company and make $1 million, like, cool. Like, you could get to that number and not ever have to worry about competing with Nike.
Niche down.
So,
talk
like,
about
you
it
know
all-
what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
we
like, the
talk
point
about
here is, like, if I get, like,
Okay, Don.
okay, so,
That's
like,
what I'm doing.
we were talking about, like, this week was exceptionally nice for me, right?
Yeah.
I was closing some deals and stuff. For me to hit, if I'm offering a service for $10,000 and I want to do $1 million this year, I need to sell 10 a month. Can I get 10 people a month to buy from me? That's one every 3 days.
Yeah.
Can I make one sale every 3 days for an amount of money that is less than they would pay an ad agency? How many ad agencies in the world exist that charge $10,000, $15,000, $20,000? There are thousands of people every single day paying that money to rent expertise from people who do not know what they're talking about and definitely don't care about them.
Yeah, exactly.
Every day.
So my point is, like, can I get one?
Yeah.
If I get 2 a week, can I get 3 a week? Like, the definition of success is what defines the thing. So very much like in being successful, like the number one thing that I'll say to this point, I think so many people misunderstand the market. And why I think we're actually in like the troubled times that we're in right now of basically going fucking full bore into a recession, why it's a great opportunity. All right? The macroeconomic issues are opportunities for microeconomic success. Because your competition, let's say you're starting a sneaker company, right? Your competition isn't Adidas and Reebok and New Balance, whatever else, right? You're trying to do a thing. Your biggest competition is the 1,000 people willing to spend $500 today that might not be in business tomorrow. Let's say $1 million gets spent today and 100 sales happen from it. Well, you're like, wow, those businesses are going to go out of business. Sure. But tomorrow, there'll be another batch. But here's the thing. If you got 3 of those sales, if you're moving 3 boxes of your shoes, if you're selling 100 shoes a month, imagine what that would do to change your life. Right? Like food on the table, your bills getting paid, you quit your job. Maybe it goes from 100 a month to 100 a week. Your competition isn't the every like Foot Locker and like, you know, Lids and all what other stuff. Your competition is all the other people who got a TikTok and started a Shopify and then drop shipping something. And the beautiful advantage of an economic crisis is twofold. One, the really big brands are gonna have to make one of 2 choices. And we've seen this happen now before, so we have the empirical data to like back this up. They're either gonna make the same amount of products but for cheaper, so they're gonna make a lower quality product, or maybe that's shrinkflation. It's not 12 ounces, it's 10.6, but it's the same, whatever. Or they're gonna roll back the number of products they have. And it's probably a combination of the both, right? You see with car companies all the time. Like Chrysler legitimately only sells one product, and it's the Pacifica. The entire car company has one minivan. That's the only product Chrysler, the company, makes. Because they've been shrinkflationed and dropped the product line down to one thing. Which blew my mind when I realized Chrysler makes one car. But the point is, you got to Google it. I swear.
Because they don't have the 200 no more. The 300 is gone? It's done?
Yeah, it's gone.
It's been gone.
Really?
Yeah. The Pacifica is the only car they make. They're a one product business. Yeah, so here's my point though, okay? Here's that happen. Do that on a macro level. Remember we talked about a D2C business. And by D2C, I mean any small business. Any small business. Your definition of success, your unfair advantage is that your definition of success is exponentially less. You don't need to sell 1,000 units a day. You sell 1 a day. It's incredible. If I'm selling one $10,000 package a day, I'm making $3.5 million. Oh my God, please.
Please and thank you.
Yeah, like, I don't need to do that every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So my point is, like, obviously that's a high ticket item, but like, if you're in a small business and you're trying to make sales, some days you do, some days you don't, 10 a day. That is life changing. You know what I'm saying?
For most people, yeah.
Like that is like I can quit my job.
Yeah.
Like that is like I'm starting to make real life decisions. You know what I'm saying? So my point to all of that is, if your competition gets easier because the level of noise of all the assholes that are dropping $1,000 a day that won't be in business tomorrow go away, and all the people at the top that can spend $1 million a day where their objective isn't tied to revenue. They make shittier products and fewer of them. Your ability to overcome the objection of value becomes more and more available. So if you make a brand where you can build an audience of people who want to buy from you, your opportunity is only getting better. And the number one weapon you have is a brand identity. Somebody has to care that you exist. And price is never going to do that. But like, if you can overcome that, where the situation we're in, whatever you get to that point, and I've gone on a very long-winded answer. I don't remember the original point of the question.
How to survive in a
Yeah. So my point to all of that is
full
like
of bullshit.
Yeah. So my point to all of that is like I want people to have the hope and the appreciation for the fact that like it is going to get easier and easier and easier to sell 2 or 3 times what you're selling right now. If instead of trying to make the sale, you start to try to make people care that you exist. And the competition getting in your space is going to get smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Stick with it, y'all. Stick with it.
And so I'm just trying to leave that because like the number one reason it's going to get easier for me is because you're going to give up. My number one source of business as a guy that's in the information and business development Facebook ads, my number one source of business, the number one thing that I hear from people is they tried everything else and it didn't work. Every time so-and-so does a bad job, right? The amount of people I get that are former clients of Taylor Holiday and Common Thread. Him not doing a good job, not caring about his customer, and
Creates
charging
an opportunity
a fortune
for you.
has made me $1 million. His inability to keep a working, like his going from 130 people down to like 20, 30, whatever his staff is, like he shrunk, you know, and they're blaming COVID and all sorts of other stuff. I would say, you know, he's a good operator at running the business, but they're bad at what they do. But you don't have to be good at what you do. Like a lot of really shitty products are run by are put out by very successful companies.
Yes.
Right? Like, so my point to all of that is most of my business comes from folks that have tried the easy way, tried the other stuff, and it didn't work. I had a call with somebody yesterday, and they were like, I'm going all in on this. I've tried 4 or 5 other things. My wife and I have quit our jobs. We're going to build an agency. We need to make this work. Along the way, everybody said that, like, you're the whatever, blah, blah, blah. They've been talking down to you. Everything that they said to do worked for a little bit and stopped working. You told me why it would stop working, when it would stop working, and how to solve the problem. The only money we're making as a family right now is because we listened to your advice. And that was the only thing that saved us from the clients we had when we listened to them.
Easy sell.
He came to me and said, I need this.
Yeah.
I hadn't even announced that I was going to do the thing. I had just had a meeting with my team an hour before being like, all right, we're going to do June 1st, we're going to do July 1st. Dude comes to me and says, I need this. My family needs this. I'm willing to borrow from my mom and dad to pay for it. So I made the first sale on my new thing. I'm like, I guess we're doing June 1st. And then the next day, 2 more sales.
I think, and we're going to do a lightning round and get up out of here, but I think when I hear your story, I watch your story, and we talk about what separates you in the education space, and obviously Steve and I, you know, we look up to you. I don't have a problem saying it, like in terms of...
I mean, you are taller than me, so like, I appreciate it.
But like the expertise around the ads and the industry that we're all in, but also as we both continue to build our communities and we both continue to educate and inform people and produce, you know, content like this that does that, it's inspiring to see. And I think the thing that stands out to me is how you separate, yes, is authenticity, but it's also intrinsic value and you giving a fuck about the customer and about their results and about like, listen, like I'm not in it to help you. I'm not selling you a get rich quick scheme or some program that's like, you know, overselling you some, you know, unrealistic eventuality, right? Like, yo, listen, I'm a pro at this and I'm gonna tell you why this is going to work or isn't gonna work for you. And I think through the long run, that's what sets you apart. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are scared, regardless of the industry, are scared to differentiate based on value because they can't provide it over time. It's hard. It's fucking, like you just basically said, like, all right, this is what sets me apart from these dudes in every area, right? And it's like, yeah, the pain, the experience, the fucking
it took me
time.
5 years to even have the courage to do
Yeah,
the
like,
thing.
I don't become that without this. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, I think it's like, but what that does is it gives you an advantage that nobody else can duplicate, right? Because it's like, you can't do this shit if you try, which is why you're comfortable giving the information on YouTube for free.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, yeah, I can do it because I actually know what I'm talking about and I'm building a connection. So with that being said, knowing what you know, we want to just tap into Charlie T's brain and do like a bit of a lightning round with you.
I mean,
before we get up out of here, right?
I think we're on like 4 hours.
Yeah. But so the way this is gonna, the way this is gonna work is
we probably easily could have done another.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a statement.
Okay.
Right. And you know the title of the podcast is Business and Bullshit.
All right.
I'm gonna make a statement, You cannot elaborate. You can't do anything except tell me. It's basically yes or no. Is it business?
Is
Which
it
is a
business
yes,
or is it bullshit?
or is it bullshit?
I'm
right?
gonna not look at you. To
Yeah,
not
just
get,
say
like,
yeah.
triggered. Yeah.
All right,
okay.
so we gonna do a lightning round. So
Okay.
you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Kill an ad after 24 hours if it flops.
Bullshit.
Retargeting is dead.
Bullshit.
If an interest audience beats broad targeting, something's wrong.
Bullshit.
Creative testing is the most important part of meta ads.
Bullshit.
A good offer can save a bad business.
It's business.
Advantage Plus is overrated.
Man, I'm terribly torn on that one, but I'm gonna go ahead and say for the greater good, that's bullshit.
Okay. $50 a day is enough to scale a brand.
Business.
No LTV, no scaling.
Business.
Scaling means nothing if your margins suck.
I mean, to the hyperbolic level, business.
If your creative doesn't grab in 2 seconds, it's dead.
Bullshit.
Your ad set should never have more than one creative.
Bullshit.
Copy doesn't matter. People only watch the video.
Bullshit.
Okay. The pixel is smarter than you.
Business.
Okay. You don't need new creative every week.
Absolute facts. Business.
You can scale ads without scaling your business and team.
Business.
I know what he's going to say to this one. ROAS is overrated.
Business.
Running ads before your product is optimized is a waste of money.
Bullshit.
Okay.
Do that with website.
Running ads before your website is optimized is a waste of money.
Oh.
You should never pause a winning campaign.
I mean, overwhelmingly, I would say that's business. Yeah.
Discounts do not impact performance.
That's bullshit.
Meta ads drive more sales than Google ads.
I mean, I guess that's business.
Brand awareness campaigns are a waste of money.
That's bullshit.
Really? Yeah.
Good creative can work without sound.
Business.
Yeah, that's business.
You don't need an email list if your ads are working.
That is business.
You can't run meta ads without a strong landing page.
That's bullshit.
Really?
Meta knows more about your customer than you do.
Business.
Yeah.
Scaling a brand with user-generated content is not sustainable.
Bullshit.
Your best performing ad shouldn't become your brand identity.
Bullshit.
Okay, we got 10 more. You ready?
I mean, bro, I could do 100 more. Bring them.
Your offer is more important than your creative.
Business.
Oh, yeah. I like that one.
Creative fatigue is a myth.
Business.
Yes.
Click-through rate is low. Your creative is trash.
Bullshit.
Retargeting is still alive.
Business.
You can scale with only one winning ad.
Business.
Lookalike audiences are dead.
Business.
Okay.
You should run conversion campaigns from day one.
Business.
Ad frequency above 3 means it's time to turn the ad off.
Bullshit.
Meta's auto placements always win.
Business.
All right, that's all we got.
No,
That's all
I have one. Audience network converts.
Business.
Oh, I've never seen an audience network conversion.
You should turn off ads during the weekend.
Business. I mean, obviously, these all have a lot of.
Of course, we gotta go one way or the next.
But the thing is, like, I've taken a brand to $1 million a month doing that. So business.
Okay.
Let me get a question here, because that's what's into the lightning.
Yeah.
This is a marketing question. If you had to mentor one controversial business figure on marketing, their personal brand, Kanye West, Elon Musk, or P. Diddy, who are you choosing, and what are you hoping to learn? They learn.
I think I've got a lot to learn. You know their name. They're better than me.
That was the most political bullshit.
No, man, like, what am I going to teach Kanye about hacking the pop culture in order to, like, make an album sale?
Yeah.
What am I going to teach P. Diddy? I mean, dude, like invented the concept of the thing that basically sprawled that entire thing. And, like, yeah, I mean, whatever you have to say, Elon's personal brand and marketing is put him as, like, probably the most powerful man on the planet Earth.
Very true.
Well, look, Charlie, you can always mentor me, Donnie B. You know what I'm saying? You ever want to sit down with a one-on-one with me? I got time, man. You know what I mean?
Whenever I can.
Wait. You know, I sorry, but
More. Let's go.
Just
Let's
a
go.
little tiny.
I just need more.
No, I caught this tidbit this week.
Okay.
Fucking Mr. Beast was talking to Mark Zuckerberg. He says, the reason why my creative works is because I don't speak.
Yep.
I just do things that anyone can watch in any country, and the algorithm accelerates. I thought that was the most mind-blowing shit when it comes to... Now, I'm saying this...
That creative question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what's his name? The black dude.
Cobby.
Yes.
The dude who does this shit.
Because the thing is, so his point to that, because I saw that, and Mr. Beast's point to that is, it has to do more with the data of the machine. Data is used for targeting. Most targeting should not be thought of as how to hit the right people. When you give more data, when you use targeting, you are effectively creating exclusions. A 1% lookalike is a 99% exclusion. Right? So speaking in English immediately negates non-English speaking people. Why would somebody that only speaks Hebrew or Cantonese watch a video in English if they don't watch anything else in English? So, I mean, Mr. Beast does make videos that are in English.
Yeah,
but like that video, his best video ever of him running with money. Is universally understandable because it's US dollars.
Yes.
And because it's purely visual.
It made me change how I want to approach some creative. It kind of not blew up, but like it definitely made me go, I'm changing some strategies.
Well, how many billboards have sound?
Of course.
You're saying billboards don't work?
Oh, are you asking me?
Not like
literally?
meta ads.
I would say no, they don't work that well anymore. If you ask me.
That's another conversation for another day.
Apparently, you've never been excited to see a Buc-ee's from like 400 miles
That's
away.
funny. I definitely lived in Texas before, so that was the thing.
Or Pedro south of the border, driving, like screaming at your parents from like southern Maryland. I'm like, it's only 22,000 more miles, kids. Just keep yelling. They'll stop.
That's
like,
it.
Charlie, man, but we spent a lot of time here today. On behalf of Steve and myself and the Business and Bullshit family, man, we want to thank you for just dropping so many gems and so much inspiration, sharing your journey with us, sharing so many of those tips. So before we head out, if you just want to let the people know where they can find you, what you got to offer, and all that good stuff.
I run a business called Disruptor School. My goal is to help people create jobs and provide for their families, more success and less stress. If you can't find me, then you shouldn't trust what I have to say.
That's it. Well, this has been another episode of Business and Bullshit Podcast. This is probably our best and favorite episode that we've done.
Well, he says as the guy sitting next to him.
We got clips for days for this.
I mean, it's hard to explain the level of excitement you get when you're speaking to someone that speaks your language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just speak the same language, so it's just easier to communicate.
Yeah, that's like I went to Shop Talk and I lost my voice because I genuinely think I talked to 10,000 people in a week. And my wife was like, "That sounds awful." I'm like, I basically just got to, I effectively just jerked off for a week straight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
I woke up in the morning,
I
had a coffee, got there at like 8 a.m., wherever I was going, and then fell asleep in my room at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I survived off of like 4 or 5 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Every day just excited to go to the playground.
And that's the difference with you and all these scammers, man. So whoever got beef with Charley T, you could come see me.
Yes,
You
please
feel me?
keep tagging.
If y'all kicked him out the Facebook groups, you know what I'm saying? He gave me a job. I owe him from 10 years ago, so I'm going to come see him.
I will reply back to that. If you got beef with me, please have the courage to actually get on camera with me. Apparently nobody's been able to do that for years.
Oh, yeah, they don't want to get on the Zoom.
If you want to say something, please bring it to my face and let's have a conversation in public. Otherwise, I appreciate the business of all of your former clients because it's making my life really solid.
All right, man. With that being said,
It's the Business and Bullshit Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We're out.
all right.